We will get started. Welcome, everyone. Mauricio, if you could call the roll, please.
Commissioner Goldman,
Here.
Commissioner Lama,
Here.
Commissioner Vizcarra,
Here.
Vice Mayor Svechin,
Here.
Mayor Scholl.
Here.
We have all members present.
Great, excellent. If we could rise for the pledge. Claudia, why don't you lead us in the pledge today? Since you're
I
front and
pledge
center.
allegiance to the flag
Flag of the United States of America. Took me a minute to get synced up there. So, okay. Chief, you're giving an indication tonight. Thank you.
Good evening. Let us bow our heads. Heavenly Father, as we move forward into the final quarter of 2019, what a better time to celebrate the upcoming of Rosh Hashanah than to reflect on the past and welcome the new with the hope of peace and civility for us all. Every faith, separate as they may be, has an instrument for personal reflection, whether it be by retreat, meditation, or through personal prayer. It allows us time and opportunity to accentuate the positives and the blessings in our lives, adjust to the adversities, and move forward with the spirit of hope, understanding, and goodwill. We are a diverse community in a very diverse world, both ecumenically and culturally. But one thing is a common factor binding us all, our human spirit to do good, especially for those that we serve and for those less fortunate in times of disaster, as well as our understanding of each other even through differing opinions. We ask especially your attention to our neighbors in the Bahamas reeling from the incomparable destruction wrought by Hurricane Dorian. We also ask that you help us to open our hearts to do good, our minds to see clearly, and our souls to embrace your true word and will. And to this end, we wish to all Shana Tova, and with that, let us all say amen.
Amen. Thank you, Chief. Okay. Yeah, we've got some add-on minutes. Okay, so let's roll the tape for the opening statement. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome and thank you for being here tonight. Please turn off or mute any electronic devices to avoid interrupting these proceedings. In all issues that come before the City Commission, we ask that everyone show mutual respect for one another by listening quietly to each person speaking, and that everyone refrain from any clapping, heckling, or verbal outbursts in favor or in opposition to a speaker. Individuals that do not adhere to Chapter 74, Rules of Procedure of the Code, particularly Section 74-21, Decorum, shall be barred from further appearance before the Commission. Individuals who want to speak on any item on the agenda are asked to fill out a public speaker's card and give it to the city clerk before the item is called. Speakers are asked to speak to the issues, make comments concise and to the point, and refrain from making duplicate comments. All speakers will be limited to 3 minutes. If you speak out of turn without permission from the chair and/or do not cease speaking after one warning, you will be escorted out of the chambers.
Okay, we've got a few changes to tonight's agenda. Items 3A and 3B have been revised, the summary minutes. Items 3C and 3D have been added on, the budget hearing summary minutes. We have an add-on item 10Y, request for proposal regarding an agreement with Jacober and Associates. We have a 10Z, ratifying a First Amendment to the agreement with Blue Digital, and a 10AA to increase spending authority with Blue Digital. Do I hear a motion to approve the changes?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Changes are approved. First order of business, item 3A, the approval of the regular City Commission minutes from July 18th.
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Minutes are approved. Now we have the special City Commission meeting from August 28th.
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries. We have item 3C and 3D, which are the two budget hearing summary minutes from the workshops.
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, I don't see any special presentations tonight, so let's move on to ordinances for first reading. Item 7A. Mauricio.
7A is an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Sunny Isles Beach, Florida, amending Chapter 99 of the City of Sunny Isles Beach Code of Ordinances entitled Public Health and Safety, creating a new Article 3 within Chapter 99 of the Code to be entitled Prohibition on Distribution, Sale, or Use of Plastic Beverage Straws, to prohibit the distribution of plastic beverage straws to reduce waste, providing for definitions, providing for prohibitions and exceptions, providing for public education, providing for enforcement and penalties, amending the schedule of civil penalties and miscellaneous fees in Chapter 14 of the Code, providing for severability, providing for conflict, providing for codification, providing for an effective date. This is first reading.
Okay, Mr. City Attorney?
We discussed this at the July meeting. What we've done is we've looked at several other ordinances from neighboring cities and have tried to incorporate the comments that you all had made in that July meeting. So
Great.
I know that Commissioner Goldman just recently asked if we could include plastic stirrers, and legally, of course, we can do that if that's the will of the City Commission.
So that's not in the that's not in the proposed ordinance?
It's currently
Okay,
not
so-
there,
So that would be an
correct.
add-on, okay.
Correct.
Dana, you want to speak to it?
Well, certainly, we've had this discussion previously, but again, to articulate the philosophy that it's our real collective responsibility to do, what we can, whenever we can, as a municipality, as a body, as a body public, and to really put a stamp on, reducing our reliance on plastics, and specifically these plastic straws. It's sad in a way that we have state preemption that, prevents us currently, given the state preemption and also the litigation landscape, from, going one step further into polystyrene. But I think this is a good first step, and it's really a statement as well as a philosophy and a movement to really reduce the supply of these unnecessary plastic straws and stirrers.
Thank you. Okay, we've got a public speaker on this one, and then I'll ask for the commission for comments. Sophia Lindley? Hey, Sophia, nice to see you. We have a special public speaker. So your name and address for the record, and why don't you tell us where you go to school?
I'm Sophia Lindley. I am 11 years old. I'm a sixth grader at NSC SAB K-8 Center, and I lived at Atrium Gardens condominium my entire life. And Sunny Isles Beach is my home. As NSC SAB parents, you all know how strict the school is about bullying. Big, mean kids are hurting poor, defenseless children. No matter how many times they say they are sorry, they still leave a permanent scar on the victim's emotions. And your children probably learn to speak up and report it if they see it again. Well, believe it or not, we see this every day. All of us are bullying our most gentle, fragile, and defenseless friend, our Mother Earth. So on her behalf, I'm asking all of you to please vote for the control of plastic straws in the city. The number of plastic straw usage is crazy. While some people say we use 350 million straws per day, some say it's about 500 million. It doesn't matter what that number is, because at the end, plastic takes 200 years to decompose. At this rate, it's likely that there's going to be more plastic than fish in the ocean by 2050. We are a beachfront city, so we should be shocked by those numbers. All that plastic goes to the beach we grew up by, and if we don't stop this problem, we children are the people that are most affected by this in the future, and yes, that includes me. Now, I know you're wondering, why should we listen to Sophia? She's just a kid. And yes, it's true, you're getting a speech about voting by a girl who legally can't, but that doesn't mean I can't make a difference. What if I told you that a 9-year-old kid figured out that that 500 million number I said earlier? It's true. Milo Crest from Vermont realized that no one, I mean literally no one, cared about our straw problem. Though 500 million might be too high, he got people's attention about this problem. The biggest companies such as Disney, Starbucks, and American Airlines, and the biggest cities such as New York, Seattle, and Washington, D.C. took notice. While the adults weren't caring about our bullied Mother Earth, he did what I'm doing. He spoke up. Now, don't worry, I'm not asking you to change your entire lifestyle. I know you have bills to pay, kids to raise, and whatever adults worry about. All I'm asking is to tweak the way you use straws. Maybe use paper straws. Even if they get into the ocean, they take 3 days to decompose. Trust me, your great-grandchildren will thank you 200 years from now. Not only are big cities one step ahead of us in solving this problem, our neighbors, Surfside, Bal Harbor, and Miami Beach, have all passed laws that decrease the usage of plastic in their communities. We can look into our very own community. At SIB, selfless, kind volunteers pick up trash at our local beaches. We should thank them by decreasing the amount of trash we put there in the first place, by joining forces in the fight against plastic, and most importantly, by standing up against the bullying of Mother Earth. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Great job.
Good job.
Great tie-in with the bullying there. So good job, Sophia. Okay, comments from, public hearings closed. That was our only public speaker. Alex, you want to go?
Yeah, I think it makes sense. We need to take care of where we live, basically. But I also think I'd like to add something that I think it's got to be our personal responsibility, you know? We pretty much control our homes, so we need to make sure that in our homes, we're conscious of whatever we're buying, we're using, so we don't pollute our environment. So I wouldn't just wait for government to do something. Obviously, government represents the people, but, for people to also take care of, whatever they could do in their own homes and within their own family and friends' environment. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Alex. Jennifer?
I think this
Microphone.
Oh, I always do that. I'm so sorry. This is definitely a good idea. I like the concept of share what light you can, which goes along with what Sophia said. Do what you can. Every little bit helps. And along with what Alex said, it's government can only do so much. Ultimately, we're the ones who have to take that responsibility. Do it in your homes. Try to influence. I mean, I love that you came up here and spoke, Sophia, because it takes a lot of courage to do that. And maybe somebody else heard you. Maybe another child heard you who's going to think, well, maybe I can talk to my parents about that. It has that little ripple effect, and everything helps, and I appreciate that, and I support this.
Sophia, that was amazing. I know her since kindergarten. Very cool. Thank you. I've said this before. I obviously support this. I support everything that is regarding protecting the environment. I actually spoke to Chad Milam from the Milam family about this because I wanted to make sure that they understood how this was going to affect them. And they are in support of this. They understand that the world is changing. I thanked him for putting handles on their paper bags because Publix doesn't. And he explained to me that they do a lot of training in their stores to try not to use as many plastic bags, to not put just one item in a bag. But what's interesting about plastic in general is it's over 300 million tons that's created a year, and that obviously is not just the straws. The straws is a small part of this. The bags are the bigger part of it. But what's interesting about that is I was volunteering at the church, and they explained to me they need the plastic bags because they use them to give the homeless the food that they can carry around, and that the homeless use the bags to make pillows out of to sleep. So it just dawned on me that not every solution is going to fix everything for everyone, and that was a takeaway for me because I hate plastic bags. I have a new appreciation of them. The only thing that I was hoping we could change on this is that it says plant sources, and there are plastics that are biodegradable and that do degrade very quickly, that do not have to go in high temperature. They're considered plastics, but they're not petroleum-based. Would that be a problem?
So you want an add-on for?
Not add-on. It would be striking the plant sources.
And the corn, or just?
And the corn, yeah, the corn and
Okay.
the plant. Yeah, because you can make plastic now out of mushrooms, out of fungi. I mean,
But we can substitute the stirs, right? We can
Yeah,
add the stirs.
We
Yeah.
we can absolutely add
When you make
add the
motion, you vote on
stirs.
the stirs.
We'll just do a strikeout
And yes, we can
add in.
delete that.
okay, thank you.
Great. All right, Dana?
I think that's very well articulated, Alex. I think that it's not just about what we do at the municipal level or at the state or the national. It really is a shared responsibility. How can we change our pattern of life? How can we change our consumption patterns? How can we, reduce the use of single use? And how can we make the difference in our homes and in the public forum? So I really like that, and I think that's a great message and a great sound off for this. So with that,
Okay.
you ready to go?
Yep. I'm supportive, so why don't you make a motion?
So
with
moved.
this- with this-
I'd like
with the
to,
stirs,
I'd like
yeah.
to amend the ordinance to reflect that the stirs as well, to
And-
add the stirs.
And
To strike out the
Marissa's
plant-based.
And
the
corn.
plant-based.
okay,
Okay.
do we hear a second?
Second.
Okay, Mauricio?
Commissioner Goldman,
Yes.
Commissioner Lama? Yes. Commissioner Viscara?
Yes.
Turn your phone
Vice
off,
Mayor
please.
Svechen?
Yes.
Mayor Scholl?
Yes,
The ordinance passes on first reading. Second reading will be October 17th.
excellent. Okay, 7B.
An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Sunny Isles Beach, Florida, amending Chapter 183 entitled Noise of the Code of Ordinances of Sunny Isles Beach to modify Section 193-4 to require that landscaping debris be maintained on the property from which it originated, providing for violations, providing for severability, providing for repealer, providing for inclusion in the code, providing for an effective date, and this is first reading.
Okay, Stan?
Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the commission, this ordinance involves maintaining landscaping debris on your property, and it's about some complaints we received from some of the neighbors, and at a meeting that was facilitated by the Vice Mayor, and this ordinance is in response to some of those complaints.
Excellent. So, any questions for Stan?
I just want to say thank you, Stan, for acting so quickly on this. It was not that long ago, and Galena, if you're watching, you got what you wanted. So it's very good. Thank you. We appreciate it.
Okay, any other comments? Do we hear a motion?
So moved.
Do we hear a second?
Second.
Okay, Mauricio?
Commissioner Lama?
Yes.
Commissioner Viscara?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Svechen?
Yes.
Commissioner Goldman?
Yes.
Mayor Scholl?
Yes,
The ordinance passes on first reading. Second reading is for October 17th.
excellent. Okay, item 7C.
An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Sunny Isles Beach, Florida, amending Chapter 217 entitled Rental Property of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Sunny Isles Beach to modify license requirement for display, to modify enforcement requirements, providing for severability, providing for repealer, providing for inclusion in the code, providing for an effective date, and this is first reading.
Claudia?
From our Mayor, Vice Mayor Commissioners. Basically, this is to protect our licensed applicants for the short-term rental. So we will be asking them to display their city license requirement in their advertisement. So it's going to be easy and it's going to facilitate actually for us to go and strike directly the ones that are unlicensed.
Okay, understood. Any questions?
No.
I'd just like to make a comment on this. I think this is a great idea, but not just for the reasons that you're stating, but also I think as a consumer, when you're looking to
Jennifer, you got to, pull the mic closer. to
when
your
you're looking to rent one of these short-term rentals, you really have no way of knowing whether you're going into a building that allows it or not.
Correct.
And by listing the license number, that gives the consumer that extra information and that extra assurance that they're not going to be turned away at the door.
Correct.
So I like that.
Thank you.
Okay, excellent. Any other questions?
No.
Okay,
That's great.
do we hear a motion?
So moved.
Do we hear a second?
Second.
Mauricio?
Commissioner Viscara?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Svechen?
Yes.
Commissioner Goldman?
Yes.
Commissioner Lama?
Yes.
Mayor Scholl?
Yes,
The ordinance passes on first reading. Second
you.
reading is for October
Thank you.
17th.
thank you very much. Okay, item 9A.
An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Sunny Isles Beach, Florida, establishing a 12-month moratorium on the submission and consideration of zoning applications in the Town Center District with certain exceptions, providing for a 12-month moratorium on the issuance of development orders and development permits as defined by Section 163.3164 of the Florida statutes in the Town Center zoning district with certain exceptions, providing for waivers, providing procedures for vested rights and judicial review, providing for severability, providing for conflicts, providing for an effective date. And this is second and final reading.
Okay, second reading. So we're going to probably dispense with a lot of the technical details that we went through in the first reading. Chris and Ed, you want to speak to the moratorium?
Mayor, Commissioner, since our last meeting, Courtney Crush was kind enough to provide us some language for a couple of whereas clauses that we had discussed at the last meeting, and we've incorporated those two of those into the ordinance. They're the next to the last one on the first page, and the first one at the top of the second page. And also, because there were some concerns about the waiver language, I checked in several other municipalities and tried to come up with waiver language that was clearer and provided the city with better protection. Otherwise, it's what you saw last month.
Okay. Before we open the public hearing, any other comments? Okay. Public hearing's open. I've got a list of speakers. So again, like in past meetings, if you're going to say something that somebody's already said, just come up and affirm what they said, and then so we can keep the public hearing moving. First speaker is Stephanie Henry. Stephanie? Nice to see you.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Stephanie Henry. My address is 16950 North Brave Road, Sunny Isles Beach. We are here tonight continuing a circular argument. The majority of this commission seems to be set on allowing this crazy infinity project to happen by using the disguise of a moratorium. Constant references to what should have happened and what didn't happen in the past is truly not relevant to what should happen moving forward. I am sure that we all here can agree that even in our personal lives, there are things that we would like to undo or redo, but it's not possible. The same applies here, and that's referencing things that I read pertaining to what happened years ago when things were established. I say, if we can send a man to the moon, we must be able to resolve this problem in a civil way that's agreeable to all. This is only achievable if the true motivating factor of this commission is to do what is best for the city, not just for immediate gratification, but for long term. Does every space on Sunny Isles Beach needs to be built upon? Yes, there is room for growth. Yes, already established properties should be upkept and maintained. And yes, the owners of properties out of scope of the city's plan should be protected because it seems like they're innocent bystanders in this whole mess. As complicated as this issue appears to be, the reality is it is not. It is not if the bottom line is to do what is most beneficial for our city. There's no way that we can be on polar opposite sides of this issue if our objectives are the same, to achieve what is best for our city. Right now as we speak, there is an abundance of property for sale here. Search any real estate site showcasing Sunny Isles Beach, and you'll see prices dropping across the board, not because they were overpriced to begin with, and not because our city is unworthy, but because there is so much inventory available and outrageous overbuilding is not sustainable. Do we want our city's logo to ultimately go from Florida's Riviera to Florida's ghost town due to so many empty units? I'm sure no one here is arguing against new development, but the key element is balance. And this crazy infinity project is not in balance with a prosperous SIB future, or is a prosperous SBI future not a priority for this commission? It has been said that there are some who stand to gain greatly with this project, but ironically, those same people are the people who are steadfast against it. Their position should be an eye-opener for anyone supporting this project. To give a small analogy, Have anyone noticed the signage on our school building, the school's name? It's so faded that it's almost unreadable. And I wonder if that's symbolic of our future, fading into obscurity because of outrageous development. I hope not, and I pray that everyone here feel the same way. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Stephanie. Speaking of our school, Norman?
Good evening. Norm Edelcup, 244 Atlantic Isle, Sunny Isles Beach, Florida, former mayor of the city of Sunny Isles Beach. I'm here again to speak against the moratorium, even though I almost was going to start supporting it. I received a text message about a week ago from Lynn Danheiser asking for advice to come to the city and discuss with her and city manager and Lou Thaler a solution. We thought we had a solution on that meeting that took place on Monday, but apparently from what I see for the agenda, that meeting was just a ruse. So I'm upset that I think I was being used. Unfortunately, I don't even know if the commissioners are aware of what was discussed at that meeting, because I know I've checked with Commissioner Goldman, and she was not informed. And I think that's really a disservice by the city manager and the legal counsel that they didn't at least have the courtesy to at least discuss, even if they wanted to turn down the proposal that we thought we worked out. But it's interesting that Ms. Danheiser mentioned that we probably could get a solution by October. So if we could get a solution by October, then why do we need a moratorium for a year? So the bottom line is it's quite apparent that for whatever reason, the city doesn't want to let go of the Infinity Project, even though everyone claims that that's really not the impetus of this thing. Unfortunately, the people that are being hurt the most are the people that live in the south side of Sunny Isles Boulevard and are living in a non-conforming building. And then the second most people that are being hurt are you yourselves, because you're not doing anything to correct the difference between the comp plan and the city's land ordinances. So you're in violation, haven't done anything to correct that violation. Ms. Danheiser claims it could be done within a month. It hasn't been discussed with you, so I really think that this has been a sham program, and I have really nothing more to say except good luck, because I think the people of the city will react to the fact that nothing's being done, even though it could be done.
Thank you, Norman.
Mayor, can I say something?
Sure.
I just want to clarify that I was told about the meeting, and is it possible, Ed, for you to read the whereas clauses so that there's some clarification as to what we're doing? Just, not all of them, just the two that Courtney added, because I want to make sure people understand we're not talking about the Infinity Project, and we are talking about fixing this.
Well, I'd like to interject.
Hold on,
How's it
hold on,
possible
hold on,
that you
hold
were
on,
informed and
hold
I
on.
wasn't?
Hold on, Dana. Dana, hold on. You don't have the floor. Go ahead, Ed. Answer it on Larissa's question.
Which ones was you?
The ones that you mentioned, the second to the last and then the top.
Okay. The two that Ms. Crush provided to me were, whereas the city is committed to amending the town center zoning code to make density and intensity standards in the code consistent with the density and intensity standards in the comprehensive plan for the town center district as required by Chapter 163 Florida statutes and Section 265-78 of the city code. And whereas the city intends that the city manager or his or her designee will develop a plan of action to remedy the problems with the existing buildings located on the south side of Sunny Isles Boulevard, provided that such plan does not require an increase of density and intensities in areas outside of the south side of Sunny Isles Boulevard.
I would, though, like to make a point. Lynn, I'm not sure why you had been able to brief one of our commissioners, but not the other. So how is that? So you knew about this? Okay.
Let's
Okay.
get through the public hearing, and then we'll and then we can and then we can come back around to it. Okay, folks. Next up is Ella Kalish. Ella? So.
I'm back.
You're back.
Thank you very much for allowing us to have this public meeting. I've stated my position on...
Ellen, just name and address for the record.
My name is Ella Kalish. I live at 251 174th Street, Sunny Isles, Winston Towers. I'm confused about something, and maybe you can enlighten me. Right now, under the comprehensive plan, what is the highest you can build on the west side of the street? How many stories?
Depends upon the zone, but Claudia? Depends upon the area.
Which area?
On the west side of Collins Avenue, on Collins Avenue,
In the town center district or the rest of Collins Avenue?
in the town center
In the town center district.
district.
Okay.
That includes Epicure and that lot. What is the highest, under the current comprehensive plan, not what is the
Well, that's
highest?
what's being debated is what the plan really is. But Claudia, you want to answer that?
I have a follow-up question.
I know, there really is. That's okay. That's okay.
Basically, in the comp plan, we don't have any height regulations. In the comprehensive plan, we don't have height limitations. Where we have it, it is in the land development regulations, or known as the zoning code, okay? So as you can see today, the town center area, we have existing towers. For example, the one Park Towers, you know which ones I'm talking about? Park Towers?
It's the ones that are being built in this west end.
No, Park Towers is the one on Sunny Isles Boulevard.
Okay, that's on Sunny Isles.
On Sunny Isles Boulevard, exactly. Those are the higher towers, which are 290 feet.
How many stories is that? I don't need...
20, 28, 27.
And those are the ones that are out of compliance?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
So I
So go ahead,
think what's
Karen.
important, at least for me, is that we need to know how high can you go? And if we're not defining it in the comprehensive plan, then it's totally ambiguous and open to argument, even moving forward. I think moving over 12 stories on the west side on Collins Avenue should be the bomb. That's it. To go up,
Hold on, folks.
to go up any higher is to impede and interfere with our seeing what's left of the ocean, our sun, traffic, height, obscuring, et cetera, et cetera. So what do we do about this?
Okay, so to your point, Ella, what's interesting is that there's two issues. First is, like we talked in the last meeting, our main objective is to fix the 6 buildings. So in the next, we're going to advertise for that, and in the next meeting, staff's going to bring up the change to the comp plan, which will then go to the state to correct the 6 buildings and get them in compliance. Okay. But to your point, if we did what everybody's asking us to do today, it would not be a 12-story height limitation. I can tell you. So what we want to do is by putting the moratorium in place, we hit the pause button, and we can then have a conversation about what folks really want. Because if we don't do that, and we do what they're asking us to do, we simply go back to the base zoning, which is not a 12-story height limitation, it's much higher.
Yes,
So this is
that's
the
what I'm
point.
hearing.
This is why we're suggesting we put the moratorium in place, because it stops all development. Infinity Project is off the table. This meeting is not about the Infinity Project for the 37th time. The Infinity Project is off the table, and then we can go back and look at it holistically, what's left after we fix the 6 buildings. That's our highest priority right now.
So just to be clear, in fixing the problem with the already built out of compliance
Right.
buildings.
We're going to isolate those in their own zone.
Going to isolate it,
Right,
but
right.
it's not going to close the furtherance of our defining a height restriction. We need to have some kind of height restriction, right?
Right, but that's the
Oh,
point.
you agree?
We'll have the
Yeah.
moratorium on that. Well, we have a height.
What is it?
When we reconcile it, we'll have one. But my point is, we
No,
have.
but if you reconcile, just so I understand,
Go
I
ahead.
appreciate it, and I'm sure everyone else is a
Sure.
little curious about it, because it's the
Sure.
one element that I can't get my hand around, is that if on the Sunny Isles and the ones that are out of compliance that are 20-some stories high,
Mm-hmm.
if we take care of them, that doesn't automatically set that height limit
That's
at 23
correct.
stories.
That's
So then
correct.
we go back and we say, look at, that's in, but we're going to look at the zoning now, and if it means, but we need to put a height restriction.
Correct.
Do you not agree?
I agree. I completely agree. But the point of the moratorium is that we stop anybody's ability to come in and try to build. So again, everybody still keeps trying to wind us up about this Infinity project. It stops anybody's ability to come in and try to build while we make a decision about what we think is reasonable to do in the remaining properties.
Okay,
Not
and the
the six
remaining-
buildings. Hold on.
But we have a waiver provision.
So we
So
have
how
a
does
waiver
it stop
provision,
a
but
building
it's
if we-
customary. Dana, we're not going to come back in and approve something. You know that and I know that. So stop trying to wind folks up about the nuances of the darn thing. Because it's not material. It's not material.
At the time we
Believe me,
discuss
you
height
folks-
restrictions,
believe me,
waivers will
if-
not be applicable.
Ella, if we did what folks are asking us to do, and just don't have a moratorium and immediately pass this, the Infinity project could come back in next month.
No, I got that,
And so
I'm
we
just
don't
trying
want
to get
that. We
clarity
don't want
on
that.
this.
Okay.
So then, so it's going to be open, we're not going to build anything, we are going to have the discussion,
That's
and we're going to
correct.
set a height restriction.
This is the point of the moratorium.
Okay, that's what I
This is the whole
just wanted
point.
to
Yeah.
get clear.
Okay, thank you, Ella.
And one last thing.
Sure.
I
What
am
else you got?
seeing more and more, because I'm a walker and I walk all over the city, I talk to everybody, et cetera, et cetera. I am seeing more and more vagrants literally lying in the street, coming up to me when I'm outside at the table eating. And really, they're mentally disturbed. I feel for them, but
Yeah.
it's really become epidemic at this point where I don't know what we can do about it.
The
Thank
chief's
you.
taking notes, so, yeah, thank you. Thank you, Ella. Okay, Greg Grossman? Greg? Sure. Okay, Cecilia Ward? Okay, no worries.
Good evening. I'm Mitch Cutler. I work for RK Centers.
Got it, Mitch, thank you.
I'd like to read a letter on behalf of Renan Katz. Mayor, City Commissioners, City Manager, legal advisors, residents, and business owners of Sunny Isles Beach. Unfortunately, I am not able to attend the meeting tonight. As you know, it was my experts who told the City Commission about the zoning mistake regarding a certain number of condos on the south side of Sunny Isles Boulevard. I have made it clear that I support a solution to make these condo buildings legal if it does not open the door for the Infinity Project. I would like to emphasize my position again. RK supports a solution to the condos on the south side of Sunny Isles Boulevard. 2, in return for my agreement to support a solution for the buildings on Sunny Isles Boulevard, RK and the residents demand that the city reject the illegal Infinity Project or any attempt to upzone the west side of Collins Avenue to approve the Infinity Project. We can solve the problems for these buildings in 1 minute. Talking about a moratorium and other matters are nothing but a distraction. RK and most of the residents are in favor of working out a solution for these buildings on the south side of Sunny Isles Boulevard. The Infinity Project will never happen financially or morally in the city of Sunny Isles Beach because the majority of residents and RK will fight any attempt to approve this project. We need to stop wasting taxpayer money trying to find ways to approve the Infinity Project. I am a resident and a major taxpayer in the city. The majority of residents want you to stop wasting taxpayer money now. The city does not need a moratorium, and there is nothing to gain from this moratorium besides wasteful spending of taxpayer money. We must end this issue tonight. Sincerely, Renan Katz.
Thank you. Okay. Cecilia, you're up next. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. Cecilia Ward, President of JC Consulting, located in Tequesta, Florida. On behalf of my client, Renan Katz and Danny Katz of RK Centers, they would like me to just once again reiterate my density and intensity findings that were contained in both of my expert planning opinion documents that were prepared in April and July of this year. which is that the City of Sunny Isles Beach adopted comprehensive plan does contain maximum density and intensity development standards for those properties that are located in the town center area, which are as follows: that the maximum density and intensity permitted for waterfront properties located in the town center area is 60 dwelling units per acre and 2.5 floor area ratio, and that the maximum density and intensity permitted for non-waterfront properties located in the town center area is 50 dwelling units per acre and a 2.0 floor area ratio, and that my density and intensity findings are consistent with what the state of Florida determined back in 2007 and 2008 in rejecting a plan amendment proposed by the city at that time. And finally, in closing, they would also like me to reiterate my findings contained in my April 2019 expert opinion report regarding the Infinity Project, which has come up here previously, which, based on my review of the public record, is that the Infinity Project as proposed significantly exceeds the maximum density and intensity permitted by the city's adopted comprehensive plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Cecilia. Courtney Crush?
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Courtney Crush on behalf of RK Centers. Wanted to acknowledge the inclusion of the two whereas clauses that had been mentioned by the city attorney before the commission. Reiterate that our intention in referring to the maximum density and intensity for conformance with the comprehensive plan is the maximum density and intensity as set forth in Ms. Ward's report. I had proffered that in a third whereas clause. As was indicated by the letter from Mr. Katz, read by Mitch, Renan Katz supports the solution to the non-conforming buildings, and therefore action to be taken south of Sunny Isles Beach Boulevard first and foremost, and to oppose any increase in density and intensity north of Sunny Isles Beach Boulevard, which would allow additional non-conforming buildings such as the Affinity or any other application. Thank you.
Thank you, Courtney. Okay, Greg Grossman? Greg? Okay, Maggie, you want to go first, or Greg? Okay, Maggie?
I want to ask a question because I want to make sure.
Yeah, you got to, Maggie, your name and address for the record, please,
Yes.
if you're going to speak.
Maggie Gordo, Sands Point, Ocean Beach Resort, 16711 Collins Avenue, Sunny Isles Beach, Florida, 33160. I have a simple question before our attorney tells you what our situation is. We have been fighting with this issue of non-conforming bridges, with non-conforming developers, with people that have come to our association and have lied to us about what they're doing and not doing. And I don't want to name names, but some of them are behind this place. And what I want to know once and for all, if the mayor was seated at the table when the city told the state that they were going to comply with the law and make the density and intensity of the zoning code consistent with the comprehensive plan, and a mistake was made, and what has been there, 13 approvals have happened, 6 of which have resulted in buildings that make my life miserable. I take my son to school every single day, and I have to go through that Sunny Isles Beach place. It's a nightmare. And this is without building anything on this side. And I've been trying to get an answer to this question. I know the mayor and the city manager have been in on this from the beginning, with the help of the zoning director. I want to know why it's so difficult for Commissioner Vizcarra, for Vice Mayor Larissa, I cannot pronounce your last name, I'm sorry, and for Commissioner Lama to comply with the law right here and now. We're asking that you do the simple thing, which is comply today with what the mayor and the city manager know they should have done since 2008. Take care of that. You take care of that today. And then once you take care of that zoning code, you do your moratorium, you do your public reading, but you go to the state with a consistency that should have been done there. Don't continue to violate the law. It's very simple. Comply with the law. Now, I'm going to ask that if you allow me, the statement that we have prepared be postponed until I see that any of you change your mind. And I'm not saying have your moratorium, look at your comprehensive plan, but start by complying with the law today, which is do what the mayor should have done in 2008.
Thank you, Maggie. Greg, you want to speak? Greg, I'm calling you, you're a public speaker. I'm calling you to speak. I don't understand.
We'd like to wait to the end to see what the commission says.
So that we can make our statement, because we don't want
Wait.
to give you an opportunity to do the right thing.
But once I close the public hearing, you won't be able to speak again, just to be clear. So if you decide not to speak, it's okay. Okay. That's okay. No, but my point is, Maggie, I can't reopen the public hearing 3 times, or twice, I'm sorry. So Greg, Greg, go ahead and speak. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Greg Grossman, 1646 South Bay Shore Drive, Coconut Grove, Florida. I've been asked to read this statement on behalf of Sands Point Ocean Beach Resort Condominium Association Incorporated. The members of Sands Point are not developers or billionaire business owners. We are homeowners who care about the quality of life in this city. We and most of the citizens of the city demand that you vote no to approve an ordinance that once again failed to comply with the law. While the commission has the right to send to the state an amendment to our comprehensive plan, it also has the duty and the obligation to comply with the law and amend the 2004 zoning code by deleting the increased density and intensity from the code. This unlawful zoning code has already endangered our lawful comprehensive plan. Since the unlawful approval in 2004 of the zoning code, we have had 15 years of commission after commission failing to comply with the law. On August 28, 2019, each commissioner present today, with the exception of Commissioner Goldman, voted for an ordinance that failed again to cure the unlawful zoning code. Each of you four decided to follow the recommendations of the city manager Russo, even though each of you knew that city manager Russo was originally hired in 2000 to help our city adopt our comprehensive plan and implement it. Only 4 years later, in 2004, city manager Russo recommended unlawfully the upzoning of the town district, and commissioners like you voted to do so. Mr. Russo resigned shortly after that, and in his absence, different staff members recommended to the 2007 commissioners to amend the comprehensive plan. The state objected because there was no data supporting the upzoning. Rather than presenting the data to the 2008 commission, which included now Mayor Skoll, represented to the state that they would delete the upzoning. They did not. The commission, since 2004, have approved a total of 13 site plans. 6 buildings were built, forever limiting our ability to attain our low density and intensity in our town district. Sands Point and the others did their due diligence. We met with each of you, We pled with each of you. We emailed, we signed petitions. With the exception of Commissioner Goldman, all 4 of you ignored us. It was more important to each of you to become a team with the mayor and the city manager who have been consistently wrong legally. They want to upzone, and they will do whatever is necessary to continue to endanger our quality of life and the future of our city. We are here today to tell you we will direct our efforts to remove all 4 of you who continue to ignore the law. We will no longer accept lawlessness in our city. We will avail ourselves to every legal option available to us, select commissioners who will challenge city staff, who will require written reports from experts, and ensure that the mayor and a consistently wrong city manager will not appropriate their authority. More importantly, commissioners who will comply with the law. We need commissioners who protect our city. Vote no.
Thank you. Thank you, Greg. Okay. Bob Welsh.
I'm Bob Welch, Winston Tower 400, 231 174th Street. Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor Spetchin, Commissioners, Honorable City Attorney, congratulations on your new job, and maybe finally the old City Attorney is working. Mr. Russo, thank you for all your help, and Mr. Betancourt, City Clerk, I appreciate you. The reason I'm upset now is because I thought this was a vote on a moratorium. Every speaker before me did not speak on the issue that you asked them to speak about. I don't care about the infinity. I don't care about zoning. I don't care about the comprehensive plan. What I see here is we're in need of a marriage counselor. We have emotional upheaval. People are upset. People are asking you now, what is the density requirement? What's the height requirement? How many? They're asking you now, but they've been upset about it for a year when they didn't know. Now look, you guys have to be the marriage counselor. You have to put us together and say, stop. Stop screaming, stop yelling at each other, stop thinking about the weeds and the grass in this issue. What we have to think about is where we want to go. And where we want to go is to set up a process that helps us get there. A process that involves maybe a questionnaire survey of all residents, maybe some committee that was established like the school committee and the CAC, maybe workshops at each voting district. We can have all kinds of things over the course of the year. What are the problems? What are possible solutions? What are the advantages and disadvantages of each solution? I sit here today and I hear that you're all responsible. This guy just told us you're all responsible for what happened in 2004 and 2007. How many of you were commissioners in 2004? None of you. So why are you responsible? What we have to do is move ahead. I'm not talking to you.
Nope, Bob has the floor. Excuse me.
So what we have to do, put this moratorium in place. Establish the process of fact-finding. Establish the practice of people saying, that's okay and that's not okay. We establish a list, a simple list. Here are advantages, here are disadvantages of each solution. Then it becomes your problem.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jennifer? Greg, stop. No, Bob, it's okay. Just sit down. Okay. All right, enough, folks. All right, enough. Jennifer, is it Rocker? Jennifer? Shh. Is it Jennifer? Can you read that there? You know, is it Jennifer?
Jennifer Rotker.
Jennifer Rotker?
Rokev or
Rokev? No? Okay. Runiata? I'm not going to attempt the last name, sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. My name is Rumiana Gruzdanova, 220 186th Street. I want to say thank you, all of you, not everybody. The city attorney, I prefer and I like it because the previous city attorney, if I'm on his place, I will be not here. Okay. The manager, thank you very much. Thank you, Larissa. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Mayor. The moratorium is the best way. The people don't understand why. It's not other way to find out, to clear the mess who is make from 15 years ago. And now is everything you are guilty. No. To be clear right now, has to be have a time. I don't know if it's 1 year is enough, but that's the time. Like the mayor says, has to be fixed these buildings, which is big problem. But this building is not from now when you're mayor. He's the previous mayor, and he has nasty way to get up and to say, why moratorium? Because we have to fix his problem. That is ridiculous. I cannot understand the people waiting for what? Do they think about the community? No. Dana Goldman, think about the people? No. She think about herself. Why? Because she's very honest. When you was for commissioner, you was, I'm going to prove the traffic. What you did? Zero. No, don't talk to me, I'm talking now.
Just let her talk. She got the floor.
No,
She got the floor.
you don't have to. You don't have to. Because what you say, nothing happened. Nothing. Why you're talking something? Now, I'm questioning how Mr. Katz sue all of you except you. Why? Except you. Why? Who are you? Why?
Why don't you
listen to me now?
Let her have the floor.
Because
Dana, let her have the floor.
you don't have. Do you know what? The previous time you did the same to everybody. This is the root. I know you're. For me, one intelligent person never going to talk between the people when they talk. But you do. Every time. Now, because I said, I cannot trust you at all. And if I'm on your place, I'd be considering to continue to be a commissioner. Because what you did, you sue your neighbors for 20 million. Thank God they prove they're honest. You're the one to not trust. And instead, what you did,
Let's
why
stay on
now
the topic. Let's stay on the topic. I know.
insurance-
Juliana, hold on.
insurance-
Hold on. Let's stay on topic, okay? Let's talk about the moratorium.
insurance go up.
You're a
Quiet,
little
everyone.
off topic. You're a little off topic.
Stop.
Now.
Stop. Hold on. Stay with. Stop. Please. Let's stick with the moratorium, okay?
Okay, the
Thank you.
moratorium, please, I support. And every people, if they understand exactly what's mean moratorium, they have to know, they have to fight for that, because that's the moment to be fixed. I see so many lawyers Mr. Katz has. I don't care how many lawyers, how rich, but the moratorium is the right way. And that's, we are here. No other way. And I'm glad this person before me, Mr. Bob, or I don't know, I forgot the name, he was right. He was right. And now, because the mess from before, you have to be responsible. Yes, everything takes time, but you have to do even extension of 1 year, but to be fixed. These buildings, like the lady says, that's supposed to be, but this is a separate
issue.
But the most important, like this lady says, how high? I'm not even for 12 floor, no. West side, I want to see some nice shopping center. I want to see nice restaurant. What's happened with Mr. Katz? This store, this store.
Let's stay on the moratorium.
is living.
Okay, I understand. I think when we have some opportunity to have more meetings regarding the zoning, then we can talk about those things. But we understand your position on the moratorium. Thank you.
Yes, the
Thank you very much. Okay, thank you. Okay, we're getting in the home stretch here. So Felix, where are you?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Felix Kisner. I live at 250 174th Street, apartment 1904. And I wasn't going to speak on the moratorium, but I see what's happening. Mr. Mayor, you're a very successful CEO of a successful corporation. And if you can make an analogy, we have a crisis in the city. It's like a corporate crisis, so I will speak your language. Management has found some cockroaches that have been there. There's more cockroaches coming up. So what would a successful manager do? Make a successful, quick decision. Moratorium sounds good, but at the same time, I see our city being torn like I've never seen. I own a place here since 2000. I live here nonstop 2009. 1 year, whatever you want to call it, it's way too long. I think there's going to be political bodies throughout it all. We have elections coming up. I think it's in your best interest to show the people and have a quicker solution. You would force your management at your company, if there was a crisis, to solve it. Please, solve it like a manager of a successful corporation. Solve our city issues. I know you can't directly mail it, but I know you like Donald Trump, and you know he runs the country like a corporation. Start running it like a corporation, too.
Thank you, Felix.
Thank you.
Okay, last public speaker, John Galinos. John, welcome back.
Hello there.
Hi, John.
I'm John Galinos, 400 Sunny Isles. I must admit I'm pretty shaken after hearing all the previous speakers. Obviously, I respect what they have to say, but I came here last time not because I was for or against anything. I came here last time because I understood that the building that I live in and 6 other buildings were non-conforming or non-compliant. To me, those words are very polite words for something that I understood as being, they should never have been built. That puts me in a position where I'm fearful, as I said last time, that if this solution is not solved, what happens to us and the rest of the residents in these buildings. So I would urge you, as I said last time, to please, I know there's a lot of opinions here, a lot of different agendas. A lot of these are about future development, future density, or future views that are being blocked, or lifestyles. The residents of 400 Sunny Isles and the other buildings actually have a problem right now. So I was happy to hear, coming back to the meeting, that you're looking to solve this right away and make changes to whatever needs to be done, immediately, so that we can solve this problem. I do understand there's complexity in terms of the other agendas that are here. They're probably all very good agendas and right agendas. I do support that you guys need to put a pause, because it does sound like everybody is getting very wound up, and to make a decision tonight or tomorrow doesn't seem in the best interest of anybody. So I would urge that you calm down, make the right decision, put the pause. I like that idea of that. But please don't forget us, because we're in a very awkward position. Thank God that storm didn't come our way. I guess the collective prayers in here pushed the storm away, but I understand there's another one coming.
Yeah. So, John, to your point, this is your issues what the staff's been focused on. I can assure you, and I think you're going to see in the October meeting, we've got notice requirements and a bunch of hoops we have to go through. But in the October meeting, they're going to bring forth this comprehensive plan change that's needed to fix your problem. So
Will that get solved at that time?
it won't.
or-
No, because it has to go to the state. It's got to get approved by this body. It's got to go to the state and get approved by the state, and then it comes back to this body. But it's going to get in the hopper, and we're going to move it along. So that's so we heard you loud and clear in the last meeting.
All right, thank you
So
very much.
thank you, John.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, public hearing is closed. Thank goodness. Okay. Whoop. Who's that? I had one. Was that Jennifer? Jennifer? It says Jennifer Rotker? It says Jennifer. No, Jody's at the end. You're at the end, Jody. Because you're... Yeah, you weren't here for 9A. You were here for 13, right? Okay, that's right. All right. See, Jerry, I'm paying attention. See that? Okay, thank you. Okay, public hearing is closed. Commissioner Goldman, all yours.
Wow, you're going to let me speak.
I'm going to let you speak. I let you speak last time. So.
Okay. I think I've made my position very clear in the July hearing and also in the August hearing. I've listened to the voices of the residents, and I see absolutely no reason to support a moratorium that's completely meaningless, where we're going to obviously move forward with curing the issue of the buildings in Sunny Isles Boulevard. And I just don't support it. I see a wide body waiver. I see movement that has to take place. And I think the moratorium is just meaningless, and it's not really what we need to do to fix the problem of the zoning code mismatch. So I'm against this moratorium.
Thank you, Dana. Okay, Alex?
Yeah, so basically just looking at the facts and going back to Greg Grossman's comments, you said that, commissioners, and personally speaking for myself, I did not ignore you. I did not ignore Maggie. In fact, I spoke to her at length many times, so that's a false statement. Second false statement, you said that we are looking to upzone. I personally am not looking to upzone, whatever, okay? So how can you tell that I'm looking to upzone? I don't know if you have a crystal ball, please let me borrow it, because that's a false statement as well. And, if you want to remove all four of us, that's fine with you. That's your right. But, going back to the moratorium and the problem that we have, obviously the first issue that we need to remedy is the 6 non-conforming buildings, which, we're looking to do. That's the first step. And then second, we fully understand that we need to be, abiding by state law, which calls for the zoning code and the comprehensive plan to match, basically. I said it before, I live here. I've lived here many, many years, over 30 years, and I want to preserve my quality of life. Unfortunately, things happened in the city before. And my personal opinion is that the high-rises that we have on the east side should have been on the west side, and then we should have had just shopping and whatever boardwalks, whatever, on the beach, along the beach. That didn't happen. But now we need to kind of deal with the cards we've been handed. And we as a commission, we need to solve this issue. I personally would like to see a moratorium because it's going to give us some time to really delve into the issue and really make sure that whatever we put in writing and is passed is the right solution, okay? And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Jennifer.
I also support the moratorium. For me, back in January, I just couldn't believe that we've been non-compliant for as long as we've been. And, yes, mistakes are made, you move forward, and we didn't do it, but it's our job to fix it, and we have to accept that responsibility. The number one priority has to be those 6 buildings. If I were living in those buildings, I would want somebody taking care of that, and so we are, and I think we're moving as expeditiously as we can. In terms of becoming compliant with the law, there's often more than one solution, and the moratorium is going to help us pick the best one, and also the one that we can agree on, because if we don't have at least the majority of us agreeing on it, then it's never going to happen. So it's the best solution is going to be the one that we can actually pass. And we're going to be exploring different things. What's being discussed now is not something that was being discussed a couple of months ago, and the ideas are sounding promising, especially for the 6 buildings, which I'm very happy about. So the moratorium is going to help us, give us that space to consider the different ideas. Hopefully it won't take us a year, but at least while it's in place, we don't have to worry about also entertaining applications and other things. On top of that, everybody's on notice now that they don't have, the people in this district can't come forward, and it gives us the space to try and attempt to find the best solutions to become legally compliant, which for me is absolutely important.
Thank you, Jennifer. Okay, Vice Mayor?
Thank you. I agree with everything that Jennifer and Alex said. What is frustrating for me is I also met with Maggie, I met with Dan, and I'm not asking you directly, I'm just saying that we did everything that you wanted. You didn't want the Infinity Project, we stopped that. You wanted us to review and to see how this happened, and we looked at it. We have giant boards in the boardroom that some of our residents have come to see to understand the timeline of how this happened. And by the way, that's when we were going through one of the boards, that's when Chris said that he had met with Lou and Norman. That's how I knew about the meeting. And so for me, it's frustrating because we're going exactly in the direction that we should be going based on everything that you have requested. So I can't understand why there's this pushback. And I was confused even with the whereas clauses, and I gave Ed a little bit of a hard time because I said, you're putting in the whereas clauses from their attorney? I don't understand. I want to see that this makes sense. And I asked you to clarify that this says comprehensive plan, that it's going to be aligned with the comprehensive plan that we're going to have, not the comprehensive plan that we have currently. So that if we come back, so that if we come back and we decide not to upzone, but we decide to do something maybe downzone, I don't know, that's going to make it compliant. So for me, the most important thing here is to listen to what the people wanted. And I believe that we have done what they wanted, and we're going to continue to do what they wanted. And this moratorium allows everyone to have a voice, not just the ones that have the most attorneys.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Okay. I get to go last. So this issue, obviously, Norman, we've had some Lulus. I mean, this is the Lulu of all Lulus as far as issues before the city. And so it's been very interesting because, I've had to do a lot of soul searching on this one because obviously, I've taken the brunt of a public campaign. And the fact is, there's a lot of misinformation here, a lot of misunderstanding, a lot of projected intent, as if we're intending to do things that we're really not intending to do. And the irony of the whole thing is, if it's genuinely about the Infinity Project, as folks want to try to say it is, we wouldn't be passing a moratorium. we'd be doing exactly what Commissioner Goldman's asking for, which would be to simply align the zoning code, and then they'd come back with the revised site plan. And then it would get voted up or voted down based on that site plan. And that could happen in 2 months, okay? But the fact is we're not doing that because we recognized that this West Side development was a real bone of contention with people, okay? So clearly, we've said from the beginning, the most important issue today is the 6 buildings. Now, I can tell you, a lot of staff time has been distracted dealing with all this other fodder about the about the alignment of the zoning. So the fact is, we believed a couple of months ago, once we really came to grips with all this, that having a moratorium was the best solution, and everybody would understand that we hit the pause button, we stop everything. Okay? But again, unfortunately, we're at odds with each other, so if I say the sky is blue, they're going to say a hurricane's coming. If I say a hurricane's coming, they're going to say it's a clear day. Okay, that's really what's going on here now, unfortunately. But this is the whole point of the moratorium, to kind of stop it all. And to Felix's point, when you have a serious problem, you don't make a quick, you don't rush to judgment. You study the issue. That's what I do, at least. You study the issue. Okay, and you really take your facts in, and then you also get a consensus of opinion, which I don't believe we're doing here if we make a quick resolution to basically create this alignment. So this is why we have a moratorium. I think a lot more folks are starting to understand it. I think it's great when Ella comes up and asks about these technical issues. It's interesting. As I've said many times, as difficult as it can be sometimes, I get very energized when the public is fired up about something. Maggie, even when you're hating me, and I know you are right now, but I get very energized when the public is fired up because it shows community involvement. But I can tell you, we need a holistic solution to this problem outside of the 6 buildings, and we're going to solicit public opinion for that solution. And this is the point of the moratorium. And, to John's point, we have our foot on the gas pedal about getting the 6 buildings, on the agenda so we can get it to the state, we can get them conforming, and we don't have an issue long-term. So this is absolutely, I can tell you, I told the staff to ignore the rest of this stuff and focus on the 6 buildings, which is exactly what I said in the last meeting, because I believe that that's our highest priority. And to the Katz's credit, they agree with that. Danny's never argued against the fact that we need a fix for your problem. They want their problem fixed too in a timely manner, but the fact is that, we've only got so much bandwidth around here. So this is the point of the 6 buildings, and then the moratorium gives us the time to deal with the other problem holistically. So this is where we stand. Clearly, I'm in favor of the moratorium. I proposed it in the first place. And again, I want to thank the public for their passion and for coming to these meetings and getting their heads into these issues. So with that, I will take a motion.
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Mauricio?
Vice Mayor Svechin,
Yes.
Commissioner Goldman,
No.
Commissioner Lama,
Yes.
Commissioner Viscara,
Yes.
Mayor Scholl.
Yes.
The ordinance is adopted 4-1.
Okay, we have a moratorium. We will break for 5 minutes, because I know, Courtney, I know you probably want to go home, so unless you want to hang out. So no, we're going to break for 5 minutes, and so folks who want to leave can leave. Thank you. Let's reconvene at 8, okay? We'll reconvene at 8 o'clock.
Okay.
Let's get the agenda back going. It is 8 o'clock. Excellent. Okay, item 9B. Mauricio.
An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Sunny Isles Beach, Florida, amending Chapter 217 entitled Rental Property of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Sunny Isles Beach to modify renewal timeframes and the inspection requirements. Providing for
Okay.
severability, providing for repealer, providing for inclusion in the code, providing for an effective date. This is second and final reading.
Claudia.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, basically this is a cleanup for our short-term rentals. As we go through the first renewal for the short-term rentals, they help us out with the process.
Okay, any questions regarding item 9B? Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, Mauricio? 9. 9B, yeah, it's second reading.
Commissioner
This is the
Goldman?
timeframes. This is the one of the short-term rental timeframes. Okay, Mauricio.
Commissioner Goldman?
This is for the short-term rental?
Yes.
timeframes?
9.
Yes. Yes.
Commissioner Lama?
Yes.
Commissioner Viscara?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Spetchen?
Yes.
Mayor Scholl?
Yes.
The ordinance is adopted.
Thank you. Thank you, Claudia. Okay, now we move on to resolutions, item 10A.
A resolution approving a second amendment to the agreement with Action Labor Management for the school crossing guard services.
Chief.
Honorable Mayor, Commissioners, this request is for the approval for an amendment to our current agreement with Action Labor Management for our school crossing guard services in an amount not to exceed $116,936.
Okay, any questions for the chief?
Yeah, I just have a quick question.
Larissa.
How many crossing guards is that?
We have 11 crossing guards, 1 supervisor.
Okay, that's a lot of crossing guards, so hopefully everybody's safe. Any questions for the chief?
No.
Okay, do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Aye, motion carries. Item 10B.
A resolution authorizing the chief of police in accordance with the Comprehensive Crime Control Act of 1984 to expend partial forfeiture funds from the Department of Justice for electrical work at 2 automatic license plate reader locations and remodeling of the police department kitchen for hurricane preparedness supplies.
Honorable Mayor,
Chief.
Commissioners, as stated, this is to spend forfeiture funds to do electrical work at 2 of our automatic license plate reader site locations and for the remodeling of our police department kitchen to accommodate hurricane and disaster preparedness supplies in an amount not to exceed $70,092.74.
It had the word comprehensive in the intro, so I was getting nervous for a minute. Okay, any questions for the chief?
No.
Okay.
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item 10C.
A resolution approving an agreement with the town of Golden Beach to share license plate readers.
Honorable Mayor, Commission, this request is for the approval to enter into an agreement with the town of Golden Beach to allow us for the installation of our automatic camera system in the south end of their city, which it's needed so we can totally perimeterize our city.
Understood. Yep. And the LPR is doing an incredible job. So, any questions regarding license plate readers?
No.
Okay, do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item 10D.
A resolution to accept the recommendation of the city's Public Arts Advisory Committee for approval of the Arts in Public Places application number AP 2019-01 submitted by Sunny Isles Property Venture LLC for the placement of a Pablo Echegaray sculpture on the property located at 15701 Collins Avenue.
Ms. Danheiser,
Mayor Scholl.
hopefully you'll,
I'm here on behalf of the chairman of the PAC, Javier Rabinovich, who was not able to be in town right now. This relates to the Ritz-Carlton residences, and this project was very interesting because I think it shows that the Public Art Advisory Committee is actually a very good body to handle these issues before they come to the commission. On August 6th, the applicant sought approval of the Echegaray sculpture entitled Dreaming the Future. After vigorous discussion by the PAC, including consideration of comments from the public art curator, Dr. Long, the applicant was advised that the piece of art itself, while that was more than acceptable, the proposed location was not acceptable, did not meet our guidelines, in other words, and the intent of the Art in Public Places ordinance. The PAC recommended 2 alternatives to the applicant for more acceptable location and placement. Also at issue was the actual value of the sculpture as submitted at that time when we asked certain questions. The applicant said they would reevaluate the valuation. Also, the applicant asked each of the PAC members to make a site visit, which they each complied with and did on August 19th for the purpose of reconsidering their recommendation to move the sculpture. The committee members did go there. Again, we met collectively on August 19th. The PAC agreed that the resubmitted appraisal was accepted, but once again unanimously disagreed about the location. So the applicant finally accepted one of the recommended location, which would allow now much more interaction with the public at street level, which is what we are trying to do. We are grateful that they did find their way to this solution, and assuming there are no issues for staff, because it was with a condition subsequent that the staff evaluate the new location.
Sorry, Lynn.
As long as there are no issues with that, the PAC recommends approval of the application.
So what I'm hearing is the process works, because a lot of times this stuff would just come to us, we look at a pretty picture, and we vote it up or down and call it a day.
No, this was a
But you're
pretty
saying that
intense
this was a good process, and
Yeah.
it kept the developer accountable
Right.
to the spirit of the ordinance. We got expert opinion on whether the product was, the process, the art was worthy, and then the placement, obviously, if the public can't enjoy it, it kind of defeats the purpose of an art in public places.
Exactly.
Un-
So you're gonna
Understood.
get a
This is
beautiful
great.
piece.
This is great. This is good news, so.
Mayor, can I add
Any
to that?
questions for Lynn? Yeah.
I'd like to add to that because I'm the liaison on that committee. I was pleasantly surprised and at some points shocked about how far our residents pushed the developer, and he was visibly upset because he wanted this piece of art to be very close to his residents and not to the residents at large. So this was a pretty heated conversation at times, and I
Use the word intense.
Intense, okay, intense. And so I applaud Lynn for her direction during the meeting so that it doesn't get, I guess, heated. And the PAC, who unfortunately, they're not here to hear.
The PAC was amazing.
Really,
Great.
really
And they stood together and
amazing.
were all of similar minds, so.
Good, good, that's great. Any other questions for Lynn? Dana? No? Okay, do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you, Lynn, and please extend our gratitude to the PAC members. Thank you. Item 10E,
A resolution approving the renewal of commercial package policy, workers' compensation, and miscellaneous insurances with Brown & Brown Preferred Government Insurance Trust for the period of October 1st, 2019 through September 30th, 2020.
Honorable
Okay.
Mayor and Commission,
Gail.
this is the annual renewal of the city's property liability, auto and workers' comp insurance, and we work closely with our broker, Bob Hollander, who's here tonight patiently waiting to present this item. We worked with him to get the best rates possible, and after some negotiation with their carrier, we received a renewal which is about 5% more than our current premiums, and this is the proposal we're bringing forward tonight for your approval.
5% is pretty good for comp, you know? I know we have a big, comp policy at One Blood, and 5% is a good, it's a good rate, so. Any questions for Bob or for Yale?
No.
Okay, do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Yale. Thank you, Bob. Appreciate it. Item 10F,
Mayor, we're going to combine 10F, 10G, 10H, and 10I.
oh boy, that's FG. So-
FGHI.
Okay, wow, that's a four-fer. That's not even a two-fer. Okay,
10F is a resolution approving blanket purchase orders for the purchase of necessary office and other supplies and services from various vendors for fiscal year 2019, 2020, under $50,000. 10G is a resolution authorizing the city manager or designee to purchase necessary office and other supplies from Staples for fiscal year 2019, 2020. 10H is a resolution authorizing the city manager or designee to purchase necessary office and other supplies from Costco for fiscal year 2019, 2020. And 10I is a resolution authorizing the city manager or designee to purchase necessary office and other supplies from Home Depot for fiscal year 2019, 2020.
Honorable Mayor and Commission, as we begin the fiscal year for 2019-20, these are our blanket purchase orders. If you have any questions.
thank you, Tiffany. I don't think there's any questions for Tiffany?
No.
Okay, do I hear a
So
motion?
moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 4 for 1, Tiffany. That's a record. Thank you. 10J,
10J is a resolution ratifying a second amendment to the agreement with the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company for fleet maintenance and repair services.
Honorable Mayor and Commission, this is the second amendment of the agreement with Goodyear. We went out to bid in 2017, and they were awarded the contract. We've been satisfied with their services, and so would like to continue with them for an amount not to exceed $100,000.
Any question regarding the fleet contract?
No.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries, thank you. Item 10K.
We will also combine 10K and 10L.
Okay, 10K and 10L.
10K is a resolution ratifying an agreement with Kronos Incorporated for a staffing scheduling software. 10L is a resolution ratifying an agreement with Kronos Sasher, Inc. for a time and attendance software.
Honorable Mayor and Commission, earlier this year, we were notified by our software provider for our time and attendance that they were going to be sunsetting the Stromberg time and attendance software. It's owned by Kronos. So we looked at actually what our options were, and we were able to piggyback a contract with Cobb County, Georgia. In addition to that, the police indicated that they needed a scheduling software, and Kronos has that as well. So with all the stakeholders involved, IT, police, as well as CCS, we evaluated the softwares and decided that we would go with the Kronos Workforce Ready and the Telestab scheduling software.
And Kronos is best of breed for time. I use
Yes.
One Blood as well. Yeah,
Yes.
they're definitely the Cadillac for time and attendance.
Yes,
So
they are.
yeah, it was good that you're able to.
And so it's a 3-year agreement with the option of 3 additional renewals.
Great. Any questions regarding the scheduling or the time and attendance software?
So moved.
Okay, second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Tiffany.
Thank you.
Item 10M.
10M is a resolution authorizing an increase to purchase.
No, you're back. Sorry, didn't mean to throw you out. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mauricio.
The resolution authorizing an
I thought I was
increase
done.
to purchase order with Home Depot for fiscal year 2018-2019.
Okay, Honorable Mayor and Commission, I am back to increase the 2018-2019 Home Depot blanket purchase order. We've been utilizing them extensively, and actually more so than other vendors that we were previously utilizing, like Granger and Rexel. So with some one-time, we had the build out of the fourth floor. We had the police department kitchen build out as well as hurricane supplies, which is causing us to exceed the amount we originally thought. There is a rebate, though, that we do receive with that. It's 5% if we go over 100,000.
Oh, boy.
Not that that's incentive, but at least there's some rebate to that.
Yeah. I think my house could do with that rebate, because I think we're part of the $100,000 club at Home Depot. Any questions?
I just want some clarification. So this includes parks, maintenance, lifeguard towers. This isn't just
It includes
Yes,
citywide.
everything. I got it.
Citywide.
Yeah.
Yes.
So citywide Home Depot purchases.
Correct.
Understood.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, Alex, do you want to make a motion?
So moved.
Do we hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Okay. Tiffany,
All done?
now you get to go. Take it easy. Thank you, Tiffany. Item 10N, Sylvia.
A resolution approving a Fourth Amendment to the agreement with Bonnie Bennett Creative to provide graphic design services to the city for fiscal year 2019-2020.
Honorable Mayor and Commission, this is for graphic design services. She assists us with primarily the monthly SIB Islander that we mail out, as well as the quarterly Living magazine.
Okay, any questions regarding the graphic design services?
I have a comment. I just wanted to say that our marketing department is fantastic, and that I hope that soon, or one day very soon, that they could take over
Great.
creating all this material, because what they're able to do is lovely and probably better than what Bonnie does.
Thank you. I'm so glad that you said that, because we have some key players here tonight.
There you
that
go.
They are amazing, and we are actually looking to, in the budget for this coming year, was approved for bringing graphic design services in-house.
Good.
So hopefully, once we get that recruitment in, get someone in, get them settled, get them trained, we can transition.
Yeah,
Good.
that's great.
That's great. That's great. And I think you got the groundwork laid already, so it's fantastic. Okay, do you hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Motion carries. Item 10O.
A resolution ratifying the expenditure of budgeted funds with Auto Nation Ford for the purchase of new vehicle and repairs to existing vehicles.
Honorable Mayor and Commission, this item, so we have spent a significant amount with them, but primarily because there was a purchase of a vehicle for Ocean Rescue, approximately $30,000. And I get to present it because a lot of the rest is shuttle bus repairs.
Got it.
So this is to ratify funds and to get us through the remainder of the fiscal year.
Okay. Any questions regarding
No.
the additional expenditures? Okay.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sylvia. 10P.
A resolution approving the expenditure of budgeted funds in an amount not to exceed $72,814.91 for the purchase of software licensing and/or products from Superior LLC.
Chris, you're going to cover for Derek, or we got anybody from IT?
This
Okay.
is the main part of the police software systems in the department. It's actually an upgrade. It's a licensing software and maintenance through the year.
Okay, great. Any questions regarding the software upgrade
No.
and licensing? Okay, is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Item 10Q.
A resolution adopting the Miami-Dade County Local Mitigation Strategy.
Okay, you're on. Sorry we had to put you through the whole meeting tonight, but that's
okay.
it.
This is a resolution in regards to adopting the 2018 Miami-Dade County Local Mitigation Study,
Okay.
Strategy,
Strategy.
sorry.
Yep.
And this is in order to keep our CRS points,
Yep.
which gets our flood insurance.
Flood insurance program, got it. Okay. Any questions regarding adopting the LMS?
No.
Okay, hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Okay, 10R.
A resolution approving a statewide mutual aid agreement with the State of Florida Division of Emergency Management for emergency aid and assistance.
Susan.
Honorable Mayor and City Commission. This is actually just an update of an agreement that we have had with the state for years. It is allowing for us to have a mutual aid with other municipalities or other government agencies, even when there is not a state-declared state of emergency.
Got it.
So for more minor things.
Understood. And it's necessary at times. Any questions? Okay, do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Thank you, Susan. Item 10S.
A resolution reappointing Rafael E. Suarez Rivas as special magistrate.
Okay, Stan?
Honorable Mayor, members of the commission, this is our special magistrate that we have used in years past, and we would like to renew services with him.
Okay, any questions regarding the reappointment of the special magistrate? Okay, do I hear?
Sounds like he's doing a good job.
It does, actually. Actually, and I haven't got any complaints. Sometimes we get complaints about the
There you go,
magistrates.
the absence of complaints
That's
is
right.
the the presence of a
That's
good
the
magistrate.
That's the high bar. Okay.
So I'll move to
Okay.
approve.
Thank you, Dana. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Item 10T.
A resolution authorizing an increase to the purchase order with Gray Robinson for fiscal year 2018-2019.
Okay.
Mayor and Commissioners, we received a bill from Gray Robinson for work that was done prior to us taking over. I've checked that bill. It is, it's fine, but we're going over the $50,000, and that's why we need your approval.
Understood. Okay.
Can I just ask?
Go ahead.
Can you clarify for what time period this is for
Yeah, it was in the January to March timeframe.
this year?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions regarding the legal expenditure?
No.
Okay. Do
So
I hear a
moved.
motion? Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Item 10T carries. 10U.
A resolution recreating a committee entitled City Advisory Committee.
Okay.
Mayor and Commissioners, based upon the conversation that we had in the July meeting, I've attempted to draft this to incorporate what I think was the consensus of the commission at the time, appointing 7 people to the Citizen Advisory Committee as voting members, and the remaining applicants as non-voting members.
Okay. Who wants to, Dana, you want to speak to it?
That's a fair compromise. We'll
Okay.
see how many people, if they're non-voting members, will actually step up to the plate
We'll
and
actually
do
show
it.
it, yeah.
But I think it's, it's at least an attempt to be inclusive rather than exclusive, which is really what I think has been the difficulty or the challenge of the CAC over time, in that if we've only have 7 appointees, who's really engaged in that process? So if we can get more people engaged, we'll probably have maybe some possibilities of good results.
Okay. Any other comments? Larissa?
Yeah, I absolutely agree that we should have conversations and inclusion of the public. However, my concern with this is, and I've been to many CAC meetings, there's often no consensus because the chair often decides what they're going to work on, and they have a very hard time deciding what they can do. Because I've met with some of the people that want to be part of this, and when I explain to them that they are sunshine laws and they're not going to be able to discuss anything, they say, well, then I don't want to be part of something like that, because how am I supposed to get anything done if I can't talk to my fellow committee members? So what I'd like to see are committees that are specific to a cause. So if, for instance, someone came to see me that was very upset about how we're managing Airbnbs, and I said to him, okay, what do you propose? And he said, well, I already do a lot of this work. I don't mind doing it, volunteering for the city. I said, well, would you do that with other people? He said, absolutely. I said, if you would be part of the PAC, you'd have certain rules you have to follow. He's like, I don't need to do that because I can get people together and we could do this on our own because this is what interests me. So I want to talk about this more because when I speak to people, they usually have 1 or 2 things that are important to them. And getting 7 people or 34 people to come to a meeting is incredibly difficult, as you know.
Well, I thought we talked a little bit about the sunshine and whether or not we could, there would be subcommittee or some, Ed, I don't know if we talked about that a little bit, the sunshine issue, and how do we get people to really...
Well, and I think we discussed the fact that it's very difficult to get around that, if these people are going to meet and discuss business for the city, then we have to comply with the sunshine law. The fact was that the 7 folks for sure have to comply with the sunshine law. They cannot speak to one another. The question is whether the others
That's really what I want to drill
not.
down on.
Right.
That's one issue. And then, of course, if they have to meet first to figure out what it is, what topics or what subject areas, I don't think that,
I just don't think it was a successful formula in the past because it's too open. When you have a specific need, and for instance, if it has a time limit, so let's say people want to talk about garbage disposal in Golden Shores that I often get complaints about. And they're willing to get together and come up with some sort of solution and then bring it to the commission. And once we're able to help solve that solution or that problem for them and we have the solution, then they could move on. Because at the end of the day, most of what has been discussed at the CAC has already been addressed by the commission in years past.
well, my experience has been a little different. I think that when I was chair, we had a, good functioning, Ari, what do you think? Did we do some stuff when we were on the CAC? When we were on the CAC, we got stuff done. So, I think we have to really focus on a few subject areas, and then I think we need to start. It's not about garbage disposal. It's really about subject, whether it's condo or something else, or quality of life issues. I think we have to first.
Well, that's
get
exactly
the
what I
first.
mean. It's going to be up to them what it is they want to discuss and bring in front of the commission and what interests them. So it's not going to be us that's going to be creating the committees. They're going to be the ones that are going to say, this interests me, this is what I want to work on. I want to just talk about Airbnb. I want to talk about the school. I want to talk about the environment. That's a huge issue. And people that are going to be, for instance, a resident came to speak to me about the issue of, dog feces. That is something that is really important to them, and they only want to talk about that. So
But I thought we had some committees, topic areas that we had established, or we talked a little bit, there was actually news that we talked about the environment as one subcommittee, or, you know, we've already laid out a few committees.
So just to be, so what are you proposing?
what I'm proposing is that if we're going to keep this the way it is, we keep it with the 7 people, because I think having 34 applicants is completely unmanageable. But what I'd like to see is residents getting more involved and being able to bring something to us in a way that they see is the best for them, which is meeting together without sunshine, without us imposing rules and regulations on them, because I've already had residents come and speak to me about that.
Okay, Ed, how can they do that?
Well, they can do it as long as we're not sanctioning it. I mean, we can ask people to meet informally, you know, and bring recommendations. They can do that now.
Would they be able to use the first floor meeting room to do that?
I don't see why not.
But that's different from what we're envisioning here with the CAC and having people that were interested in applying and getting involved. When you have an issue of, you know, well, I've got, you know, yard trap, you know, I've got yard waste on my yard, that's a little different from saying, hey, I'm talking about environmental initiatives and I'm looking at it a little, you know, more holistically. So I'm not sure, you know, it's more like, hey, we got a problem or a focus and an issue. That's different from saying, we're talking about this subject and how can we, you know, talk amongst ourselves to, you know, foment change
I mean,
or recommendations. So I think it's a little, I guess I view it a little differently, and I thought the idea was to encompass and be inclusive, and so the people that applied, let them get involved and participate, not saying, well, if I've got this problem, I'll just come and talk to my
But nothing stops them from getting involved, is what I'm saying. So I would support something that is the original 7 people and allow anyone who wants to come, because there's many people that missed the deadline, that weren't able to sign up, that have come afterwards.
We were clearly, yeah, I mean,
But we can't.
Well, good luck with that.
Yeah, what Ed
That's
is
the
saying-
problem, that's the
What Ed is
problem.
saying, really, what Ed is saying is that if we restructured it to where it's like an ad hoc thing where folks just, you know, but I don't know how you really can't do that.
It's
But-
an advisory committee, so, you know, it's not something.
No, I understand, Ari, but that doesn't, yeah, we fought that over the years. You're not going to get around that. You know, we're not getting around the sunshine law for, you know, for the actual sanctioned body.
Once we formalize a committee, we have to comply with the sunshine law.
Right.
so they could meet outside of just a, you know, like a once every 2 month, as long as it's a noticed meeting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Noticed
They don't need-
and minutes have to be
I
taken.
think the idea is to not have a one-person committee, right? For me, it was all about whoever applies, let them have a seat at the table and let them get involved if they want to get
So-
involved. It
so-
wasn't about, well, we just have to go back to
So
the same
Dana,
routine.
I guess my question is, the other 29 people, are they bound by the sunshine law? The other, if we say these people are on that committee, even though they don't vote, are they bound by sunshine? What do you think,
That's
Ed?
what we were trying to avoid. If they're non-voting members, they're basically just there as participants.
Right.
And can they speak to one another?
So if they got together and wanted to take on an issue, and we kind of named them in the roster, it sounds to me like we're wrapping more formality around them, and we could be exposing ourselves. You know, you follow me? I'm not beating up on the concept. I just don't want the concept to get in the way of flexibility, you know, because I think when we formally name them, we create probably an obligation to adhere to the sunshine law, whether they vote or don't vote.
Okay, but we
You get
could
it?
still, they don't have to have, will all 34 meet every second month, as opposed to maybe we just have rotating the committees where they can say, hey, we want to meet next
Yeah,
week or a
and that's
month
really what
later.
Larissa's saying. I think that's really what you're saying,
But
isn't
you're
it?
saying, I only want 7 people on the committee.
7 that have to deal with sunshine,
7
and
that
then
are voting.
and the rest,
And the
if
rest just leave
they
it floating,
they can form their own committees, which I'm sure they're going to want to do because they've shown an interest, but then they're not obligated to follow sunshine.
That's the difference, because if they're, the point that Ed's, you know, I think what, and this is why, because I'm trying to bridge the gap here. So it sounds like what Ed is saying, in an abundance of caution, if we formally name the other 27 people that we're talking about, we're kind of creating a structure around their involvement. When we do that, we subject them to sunshine. So
Okay.
technically, they can't go to the coffee shop and talk together about the trash in Golden Shores, even though that may be what's motivating them to get together. Larissa's saying, leave the, if I'm hearing you right.
Yes.
Leave the 27 kind of ad hoc and just, you know, and you can
definitely
tell
invite them,
why you're-
invite
But
them.
You
for
invite them,
me,
but
I
I
think
think you
it's
can
a
tell them-
disincentive for them to get
It might be.
involved and to do it, and then we're back to where we were square one.
No, I
in
understand,
terms
but
of-
I also, but I got to tell you, I mean, I agree with this whole sunshine thing. I mean, because, you know, ultimately for them, if they, you want to make it as flexible for people to be involved as possible, you know, and I think that if they feel, you know, if we put the fear of God in them and they can't talk to their, you know, their friend, because that's what happens with this whole sunshine law, especially with the public. They never really understand it, and then when they do understand it, then they're afraid to talk to their neighbor, you know, about something that, because they both might come to the meeting. So I think we're all saying the same thing, but I think what I'm hearing is maybe we don't anoint the third, you know, the 27, and you tell them, you can explain to them why we're not formally naming them, so they have the flexibility to basically go out and, go ahead.
But it's just, we're back to the same formula of 7, and
Right,
then nobody's
right.
going to show up, basically.
I think they'll show up. They'll show up
They'll
because
show up,
there's
yeah.
more
I
than
think
this
when they're
now.
interested, you know, Dan, it's just like tonight, when folks are interested in something, they show up. You know,
Okay.
so, you know, you get it. I don't think it's, but I think, again, I think I understand your intention. I just think it might backfire based on these constraints, because we have looked at this over the years multiple times, because we all came up through the CAC at one point. You know, you came through, I came through. I mean, it's always been problematic with folks.
Sorry.
Alex?
Are the other people, the 20-something people that are not, let's say, officially recognized by the city, are they going to care if they're officially recognized, yes or no? I mean,
I mean, Dana thinks so.
that-
I understand what Dana's saying. She's saying, let's wrap some formality around it for them, so they're going to feel more inclined to be involved. I understand the
Correct.
theory. I understand the theory, but my point is, we're cutting off our nose to spite our face,
Mm-hmm.
to Larissa's point about involvement. You know, and I think Ed knows that the least specific we are, the more we have an opportunity to comply with the rules.
but,
So,
okay.
Ed, go ahead.
So they would have to fit within
Those-
the existing, whatever the designated person, just, if there are 7 designees, and they each say, okay, I want to chair the Quality of Life Committee, or I want to chair the Environmental Committee. So the other 27 say, okay, I'm interested in that committee, or I'm not interested in that committee, and I'll just float around and show up if I,
Or
you know.
anybody else that comes along.
Or-
It may be more people, I don't know. But I guess my point is that I think you want to keep it flexible, so you don't have these issues, you know, or can avoid these issues. Ed, go ahead. Yeah.
No, that's it.
I think also, you know, when we discuss this first, I think we got to focus on perhaps 3 or 4 objectives and take it from there. So it's not all over. Remember when we spoke first about it?
Yeah, I thought
That's
we
the form.
had,
That's
you
the
know, a
form. Yeah,
few
yeah,
committees
yeah,
that
we
we
did.
thought
We
would
did.
fit, you know,
We did.
people would fit into,
Yeah.
but if
Yeah, but I think we're saying the same thing. I just think, you know, kind of repeating the issues of the past. I mean, I know for me, it was always very frustrating with that committee for that reason, that I couldn't go meet with, you know, with people in the coffee shop and have a conversation. And I was very cognizant of that, you know, and I think that it tends to put a chilling effect on people's involvement when they feel that way, you know, because they tend to, not understanding the sunshine law like we understand it. I mean, obviously, we're bound by it ad nauseum, but not understanding it, I think people tend to overreact at times, you know, so Alex, go ahead.
So how would the structure work? You have the 7 appointed
I don't think it would really change that.
people, and then you have, each one leads a subcommittee or a committee?
I would leave that informal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
let
know,
them decide.
And I think what we'd do is we would go, Mauricio and I would go and talk to them about sunshine law and that type of stuff. So if I'm on one of the 7 and I decide that I want to tackle short-term rentals, I call up 4 or 5 of those other people and say, hey, listen, meet me at the coffee shop and we're going to talk about short-term rentals. You know, it doesn't have to be a formal deal, and that way, those folks are not subject to the sunshine law.
And that's really, I think that was Larissa's point, and that's really, so, But I think you can have the conversation with the 27 folks that are interested and explain to them how it's structured and why it's structured.
The whole goal
Yeah.
of this was
Yeah.
engagement.
I understand.
And that's why
But-
I don't
but
want
but the
to
good news is-
cut that initiative.
But to your point is, you still have the list of 27, and you can call them up and say, hey, who's interested in the environmental stuff? And then they know that these folks that are non-voting, that are just community-involved folks, can actually get involved on the committee and have an informal meeting and not worry about all this other complication. Obviously, 2 of the voting members can't come to that meeting, but one voting member can, with the other folks.
Can those 27 people say, I'm part of the city advisory committee?
Well, I think they can say, I participate
Right.
in the
Okay.
committees of the city
No, so
advisory
they
committee.
feel,
Yeah, of
they
course.
feel they're
No,
part
but
of
I mean-
something,
but
They
again,
so.
can't, that's
Yeah.
the thing, the way
Yeah,
you're
I
doing it
understand.
now, they
But
can't.
we're not, this is not to give somebody status. I mean, this is to allow people, this is to encourage people to get involved.
But the
And
problem is, I guarantee you that if we don't do it this way, it just becomes, then we have to have a noticed meeting for every committee meeting, because it's got to be the sunshine, it's going to be under the sunshine law, and it puts a big chilling effect on it. So, I mean, again, from my experience, this is a better way to probably proceed, but I'm one vote.
I mean, I guess if they say I'm part of the city advisory committee, in a way, they're part of
They
it,
are.
no?
No, they-
I mean,
they-
I'm just trying,
I participate in the city
participate,
advisory
yeah.
committee process, whatever you want to call it. We're parsing words now, but the fact is, I'm not sure that but I just think, again, giving folks flexibility is going to get, and I don't think it chills your list. I think ultimately you can explain to your list what's going on, so.
I mean,
Listen,
we'll
I'll
see.
tell you what, if it doesn't work, come back and we can revisit
Yeah, I mean,
it.
I think that
Yeah.
that's what I'd like to do,
Yeah,
have the
let's just-
option to revisit
absolutely.
it, because I think that people
Yeah.
do want to get involved, and if they feel they can work it out through a more formal process than as
Yeah.
a non-voting member,
Yeah.
but still be,
Yeah,
a
but still be
designated
subject to sunshine
member,
law.
right.
Yeah, but
And-
still
and
be
be
subject
subject
to
to sunshine
sunshine
law,
law.
why
If
not?
they feel that's a good thing, so, yeah. So, okay. So then the question is, are we changing anything?
Yeah, I think we need to.
Okay.
Well, because I think what you want to do is to have the 7 members,
Right.
period. And then informally, we contact those other
Right.
folks and say, we want you to be involved. Please come to the first meeting, which is scheduled for January
Right.
21st or whatever
Right.
it is.
And then you can explain the ground rules, I think, to those folks and explain.
And Stan and I will
Yeah.
be happy to do
Yeah,
that.
that's right. So I don't think that, so what are we doing in terms do we need a resolution then? Because we have, how many members that are voting now? How many voting members do we have in there?
We have 7, and
Okay.
then 30, a total of 34, right, that have applicants, but we have 7 voting members,
Okay.
which is exactly what the resolution states.
Right, I understand. Okay, but what we're saying is, we're not going to, really, the only thing we're going to do is we're not going
Oh, I know.
to formally anoint 9 non-voting committee members, because that's what puts the formality to the process and makes them subject to the sunshine law.
So what
Right.
you're saying is we can't have voting members and non-voting members on this resolution
Right.
because we
Right,
really-
because the non-voting members will then be subject to sunshine law, is what we're saying. So we have the
That's my
voting.
recommendation, Commissioner, is to take out the non-voting members of
Members,
this.
right.
You make the motion to approve it with eliminating that. Mauricio and
If
I
it
will
doesn't
clean
work,
it
come
up.
back.
Can
Seriously,
I-
come back if it
can
doesn't
I
work,
ask-
but I think it makes
Doesn't
sense
that-
relative to what the constraints were in the past.
Remember, it's
so-
just the reso.
Yeah, okay, it's just a resolution.
Can I just ask a question? Sorry, Jennifer, you go ahead.
Sure, go ahead.
I interrupted you.
I'm just having a hard time if we undo that, why don't we just go back to section 70 for just basically what we had? Because I feel like we're having the same conversation we had a few months ago, but in a different way, but it's kind of the same conversation.
That happens a lot around here.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry?
That happens a lot around here.
Yeah.
That's a joke.
So I just feel that, and I'm sorry because I'm a little bit tired, but I feel that what was missing is the attention that the CAC was getting, right? Once we put out, and we put some effort into it, and we didn't reinvent the wheel. We went back and used the application that already existed, and just, different members of the commission went out and hey, are you interested in applying? And we ended up with a 34. I mean, I've never seen such a thing. So clearly, people are interested, and we can work with that. But I don't see why we need to change anything. If we're going to pay more attention to the committee, just go back to the CAC the way that it was. we don't need to worry about members or non-voting members. You can nurture, we make the appointments, we nurture the ones that want to continue.
But
We don't
doesn't
need-
the old CAC have committee structures by
They have the
definition?
subcommittees, and then people can join the subcommittees, and they're not voting members either. They would just join the subcommittee. So we're not really saying anything different than what
Yeah.
already exists,
Yeah, I don't know.
other than we went back to basics using the application, and there seems to be a commission who's, seems interested and more dedicated in talking to these 27 or 34 that weren't there before. And I think that's our raw material to have a more fruitful CAC in an environment that's more difficult, as we discussed before. There's just less to do now, I think. The projects are more difficult to come by, so the people would need more guidance from us. So I just don't,
Understood.
I
Okay.
think we should just go back to how
Okay,
it was.
but we have a resolution before us, whether we scrap it or whether we want to vote it and, make the change of the recommendation of the city attorney for scrapping the non-voting committee members. It's up to the commission, so I think we beat this one to death. So, do you want to make the,
I
you
just
wanna
have,
make the motion, Dana?
not beaten yet.
So we haven't beaten it, we haven't beaten it complete, it's still kicking?
Ed, the way that the original CAC is set up is that it's done in the beginning of the year. So where does that get us now? Because now we're already almost at the end of the year, so we kind of lost a year. We're not going to appoint people for 3 months.
No, our recommendation would be that you appoint them between now and December, and they start in January.
I see, okay.
So Dana, you want to make a modified, it's up to you.
I don't see, I think that's the will of the commission, so I'm going to have to go with that, because, so I'll move to, where's my motion, Ed? Here to revert
Just-
back to
just-
the original?
Well, you can do that, or you
No.
scrap the
Enabling
non-voting members
resolution.
from your.
Strike
from
the
your
non-voting
committee
members
from your language. That's
from
really,
the-
that's what Ed's
which is
recommending.
all that
And
for-
and
which is
direct,
exactly
and
what
direct
I
the city
wanted.
attorney to clean it up.
Yeah, direct the
Clean
city
it up,
attorney
Ed.
to clean
Clean
it
So
up.
we have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, any opposed?
I oppose. I think
Okay,
we should go back to the
note
basics.
that Commissioner Viscara is opposed. Okay, motion carries. Item 10V,
A resolution ratifying the declaration of local emergency imposed by the city manager on August 30th, 2019, and the termination of a local emergency issued on September 4th, 2019, due to Hurricane Dorian.
okay.
There
So-
really isn't any more to say on that. We declared it,
Yep.
and then we extinguished it.
Boy,
And we
that
need to
one was
ratify that.
that one was the
That was the
water
busiest
torture.
non-event we've
Oh, my
ever
gosh.
had.
Yeah, same thing I had. I mean, it was incredible, so.
Better safe than sorry.
I know. No, it's true. It's true. I think everybody did tremendous preparation. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Termination carries. Item 10W.
A resolution ratifying a consultant agreement between the city of Sunny Isles Beach and Fred A. Moss.
Okay, we're going to ask the chief to assist. Well, chief, it's okay. We're just we're going to ask former Chief Moss, I'm sorry, to basically, we signed a consulting agreement with him when he retired, and we want to extend it. He's been very helpful to the department, tremendous institutional knowledge, and the chief and I discussed extending that consulting agreement for another year, and I got, we've got the support of the police department to do that. So, any questions?
No, so moved.
Good. Any second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. 10X.
A resolution establishing a schedule for commission meetings for calendar year 2020.
There's a controversial one. So third
So
Thursday of the month and no August? Is
So
that
moved.
okay, do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. 10Y.
A resolution awarding request for proposal number 1907022 and approving an agreement with Jacober and Associates doing business as Jacober Creative to provide rebranding services to the city.
Sylvia.
Honorable Mayor and Commission, if you'll indulge me, I'd like to invite our media manager, Kathy Fernandez, to come up and speak on this item because she's done all the legwork and really worked hard on this one.
Kathy.
Thank you, Sylvia. Honorable Mayor and Commission, back in July, we issued an RFP for our citywide rebranding services. As a result, we received 9 proposals back. After careful review and discussion of those proposals, we would like to award this bid to Jacoba Creative. After discussion, we've noticed that they were the most comprehensive and responsible bidder, and their proposal was most in line with our requirements for this project. So to give you a little background on this project, this will be a 2-phase, 2-year contract. Phase 1 will include market research, including online surveys, focus groups, and street surveys. So we will be meeting with all stakeholders, including city staff, residents, business owners, to get their perspectives, and then that basis will allow us to go into phase 2, which will be our branding, and that basis that we get from our research will allow us to create our new brand. So that will include the tagline, logo, design elements, everything that will consist of our new brand.
I was always a Life with the View fan. I was never a Florida's Riviera fan, so I'm in support of freshening all this up.
The seal stays, right?
Yeah,
The CO stays, correct.
exactly, so.
The
Okay.
PAC just wanted to
Any
ask.
questions for Kathy?
Can I
Okay.
make,
Do I hear a second?
Go
Chris?
ahead, take the vote, I want to make a
Okay,
comment, though.
okay, do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
I just want to say, Kathy and that whole department does an absolutely amazing job. I mean, I knew this before, but now that they moved up to the 4th floor, I realize it even more. And Kathy has been doing a tremendous job for a very long time on this, and I know how long this has been to come, this branding thing. I've always had a thing about the branding of the city.
That
but
means
I
he's
won't-
watching you, Kathy. so you
I
gotta
won't
watch
get
now,
into it.
right.
No, she actually invited
Yeah.
me to her dissertation when she went for her was your master's
Okay, very
degree
good. You
at
did,
the school.
you did,
I
congratulations.
thought she was from New York, though. I
Yeah.
didn't realize she was born and raised here because
Yeah.
she talked faster than I do
Yeah.
at it.
That's great. Okay,
But you're doing
so
a great
motion
job.
carries. Item 10Z.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy.
A resolution ratifying a First Amendment to the agreement with Blue Digital Corp. for document imaging services.
Honorable Mayor and City Commissioners, we're requesting a standard for the $50,000 for the agreement with Blue Digital for our document imaging.
Okay, any questions regarding the appropriation? Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Boy, we strung you out tonight,
So
I'm
do you have
sorry.
to do the two at the same
10
time, Mauricio? or-
Believe it or not, 10AA.
We already
So-
did one.
All right, okay.
We're running out of alphabet. 10AA.
A resolution approving an increase in spending authority with Blue Digital Corp. for document imaging services in an amount not to exceed $15,000 for fiscal year 2018-2019.
We're asking for a increase of $15,000. We had some issues that came up to take care of, extra work and movement of our digital we needed to have moved.
Understood. Any questions? Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Don't get up. We have 2 Citizens Forum speakers who have waited very patiently. So Felix, I'm going to let you go first.
No, he removed his name.
Oh, you're out? Okay, no problem. Jody left, I know. I got rid of Jody. Okay, we have 1 Citizens Forum speaker that waited very patiently and was here early even. So Fabiola.
Good night, everybody. Fabiola Stuyvesant, 326 Poinciana Drive. I want to talk about the closing of the Pelican Park and also about the school. So I'm going to read because I'm also tired, so I don't want to lose my ideas. We, the parents, think that the closing of Pelican Park is completely unacceptable. Not for 50 minutes, half an hour, 45 minutes, 1 hour, nothing. Most of the people sitting down here maybe doesn't understand really the dynamic of the park, and that's what I want to try to explain a little bit. I'm going to be as fast as I can, okay? So I don't know if you guys know, but everybody has the children. Most of the people have children in the school, and the children have 6 academic periods. They don't have no recess. They only have 1 lunchtime. In that lunchtime, it's 45 minutes. They have to come down, have lunch, do the line if they don't bring lunch from the home, eat, and go up. So they don't have time to socialize during the 8:30 to 3:05 p.m. during all day. So the park, it was being like the moment for the children to have that time to socialize, like the recess. When I was young, I was very lucky to have a recess time. In that time, we jump the rope, do our things. And we don't have, our children will never have that opportunity. So the way the park, Pelican Park was being used, most of the time, at the end of the school year, the children go there and they had the time to have that recess time socializing. For example, me, I've been sitting down in that park for 9 years, waiting for my children. And now I cannot sit down anymore. And that's when I say that it's not acceptable. I kind of understood when I talked to the staff why it's happening. But again, I think we need to find a solution to open it again. And as me, many people that are immigrants, we don't have family here in America. So sitting down in that park for 9 years make me have friendships that they're becoming like my family. And for the children, the same. And for example, my son, he started going there since my daughter was in kindergarten. He was like 2, 3 years old. And then from there, he started playing with friends that they were older than him. He started playing when it's the World Cup. They are switching the little card. They play Beyblade, Pokemon, whatever. The point is that that's the only moment that they actually do have time to socialize. Again, we don't have that anymore. It's gone since the beginning of the school year. I understand that apparently the reason to close it is because something that has to do with aftercare. And the sad part that I see is that we are accommodating aftercare, probably involved with the school board, and is affecting hundreds of people, not only the children, also the parents. And one specific example is that the children that are in kindergarten, they come out of the school at 1:50. If they have siblings that they come at 3:05, we have those parents being like a satellite around the school, and they cannot be inside. They have to see, and the little children that are the kindergarteners are outside in the sun when we have the winter, it's going to be in the cold, waiting for over an hour for the older siblings to come out. And then the little kids ask the mom, "Mom, why can't I play in the park when I've always been playing in the park?" So how the mom can explain that they are kicked out of the park, basically, for 1 hour, and then they can come in. So I think, again, that is completely unacceptable, okay? The mom can explain because the mother also don't understand. That part of socializing is really important for the children. And I just don't understand why we continue like pampering things with the school and it's affecting the community. And another thing that is in the same order of ideas, the school is gonna, first of all, we don't have, like we say, recess. Now, they are building 3 new classrooms. Those 3 new classrooms, one of them is an art room. They're taking out that art room to build more seats. Today, and you guys are so tired of hearing about density and intensity, etc., but I have a question. Does our school have a cap, a limit? Do we have a density or intensity? Because a few weeks ago, we had the first meeting of the ESAC, like the board of the school. And in that meeting, we asked specifically what's happening with the children that come from out of our city. And they are taken care of, they are being taken care in the school. And there is a girl that is working in the office doing this address verification. And she said something very interesting. You guys were not there, most of you, so you don't know. She said that one method that they're using is that they're sending letters to the address of the children. From those letters that they send, usually the program is for the kid, for the parents to get the letter, sign it, and bring it back the child to the teacher. She said that around 50% of the letters are coming back. From the other 50%, they call them, around 25% of the people bring the papers. The other 25% don't even care. They ignore. They say, anyway, you cannot do anything to me. They don't bring nothing. And that's it. End of the story. So 25% of 2,000 students is a big number. About the address verification process, I have 2 children in the school. I never got a letter. My 2 kids had different addresses because I signed them when I was living in different places. And for 5 years, my daughter never had the right address. So I could have just moved to that apartment for a month, like we said, put her in the school, and I'll be there forever. So I totally understand that we cannot do nothing with how many kids they are accepting, but about safety and about this new construction of the new three classrooms, they are taking one art room, they're taking a computer room. Right now, when the beginning of the school, we have a Spanish room. We have multiple art rooms. All that is gone. We just put more and more desks for the children, more and more desks for the children. In that same meeting, one of the people from the school, they say, if tomorrow 500 new kids wants to register in the school, we have to allow them. My question is that real? If tomorrow 500 kids say, and bring the papers, oh yes, I live in Sunny Hills, we're just going to allow them? So what are we going to take out? Maybe the green areas? Where are we going to sit them down? I mean, we need to have a limit. I wish at some point we can say no to the school board. No, you are not building anymore. No, you cannot bring people from wherever you want to bring here. Because, it's completely unacceptable. And to take out the art room, to make new classroom, I don't think we should allow that. And I know you guys have not the last say, but if you guys can work it somehow and not let them build more classroom, because right now the art teacher has a little cart and she goes from classroom to classroom with her supplies. Instead of our kids going to the art room that we built that is there, no, now she has with the little cart. The same with the Spanish teacher. Instead of having a hola, buenos dias, beautiful Spanish room that we also had, we don't have it anymore. It's gone. And the same with the computer lab. My children, he told me, oh, mommy, I didn't finish the computer homework in the school. Why? Because now we don't go to the computer lab like we used to. Now there is a card. During the summer, in that card is laptops. And those laptops during the summer, apparently many of the batteries, they die. So they have like a 35 kids in the classroom, and they have like 20-something laptops working. And instead of going to the computer lab, now the little card comes also, like the Spanish card, like the art card. Like, I just don't think that's what we want for our children, for the quality of the school. I think it's damaging to have so many children. I think it's damaging to keep them away from the park. I don't think we are like doing the right thing for them. And so with all the respect, I just have 2 petitions for you guys. And the first one is to stop the new construction of the 3 classrooms. And the second one is to open the park. And whatever needs to be done to open the park, like one proposal, I hear that we need to bring the kids of aftercare from the inside to the school to the Pelican area. So maybe, like what we're going to be doing soon in the Boogie by the Beach, maybe we can create some kind of a corridor that they go inside Pelican and they don't have to go to the park area. I mean, we can figure it out somehow and not closing the park for the citizen. Because I think it's so sad to, after the school, now the kids have to just go home. They have no time to socialize. And the parents at some point, they were saying, oh, because there is nobody in the park taking care of the children. Those parents are the ones that were not on the park, because I was there with my children. So I know my children were behaving or misbehaving, but I was there for them. And the parent that calls and says, oh, my child got whatever, pushed, beat up, or where were you? They're not supposed to be there alone. So that's the parent that you have to ask him, why are you complaining? Were you there in the moment? Oh, no, he was there waiting for me. That's not the way it's supposed to be used, the park. So now the ones that we use good the park, we are punished for the one that they misuse it. I just need some clarification, okay? And that's basically what I want to talk about, the schooling, about the park, and about the children, which are our future.
Okay. So obviously, with the classroom issue, okay, we have less than no authority to deal with it, unfortunately.
It's like an embassy.
It's like you know what it is.
Basically.
I mean, Fabiola, the bottom line is, you know, probably one of the most, and I'll say this publicly, I think it was a wrong decision not to get a charter school, because we lost complete control of the process. And I think it was well intended. And I think that the decision makers at the time looked at the situation and said, okay, and got convinced that this would be the best course of action. Ironically, when I was involved at the time, you know, I just did not feel we could trust the administration in the end, because there's a lot of conflicting priorities, you know. And so I have gone toe-to-toe with the superintendent on numerous occasions over this address verification issue. I've gone downtown, we have fought, we have gotten each other's face. He doesn't like me, I can tell you. But the bottom line is, that's his embassy. That's his domain. We don't own it. The other thing is, to be quite frank, is that we signed an interlocal agreement when we formed the school for that park for, is it 40 years or 20 years, Susan? 40 years, which basically says that that park is inextricably tied to the school, and these priorities that you're discussing, the school takes precedent over the residents, even though we paid for the park. So, again, you know, these were decisions that were made at the time. I'm not going to criticize the decisions because I believe, you know, just like the one tonight, you take your data that you have at the time, you make your best decision, and you go. You know, but
Is there any way to renegotiate these things? Like,
yeah, it's
honestly, like to make their life.
They got
hard,
a good deal. It's highly unlikely.
But we make their life very easy.
Yeah,
the way the
I'm not
city
saying we don't.
pamper the school.
But my point, the only thing that I'm telling you is that legally they got us.
Okay.
Legally, they have us. There's no question, because we can't put a cap on the school. We can't tell them they can't close art rooms. We funded, I mean, Bob Welsh and the Jeanette and the committee got Desert to donate the money to build the computer lab, you know, $30,000 and 2 years ago, and they closed it. I mean, you know, how terrible is that? How much credibility do you have to go back out now and raise money for the school issues?
Exactly.
You lose
That's the point,
credibility.
yes.
It's terrible. It's terrible. I feel your pain. I don't have good answers for you. I don't think any of us do, as far as what we can do. This address verification thing, I mean, you know, I've been beating the drum. Remember, we did the license plate reader. I mean, I've tried everything to get these folks to open their eyes, to say, I believe 20% of that school, if not more, is coming from out of the area.
Absolutely.
And frankly, if we dealt with that issue, you wouldn't have any classroom issues. You know, because basically, you know, but the fact is, they don't want to hear it because it's distasteful to tell those arrogant parents, you got to get your kids out of the school. You know, and I feel bad for the kids because the kids didn't decide to start at that school. The parents put them in there, and they've taught them to lie when they're asked about where they live,
Correct.
which is even worse when you really want to go. But I have talked to many parents, probably this one included, that, you know, when they go to the birthday party in Hollywood, half the kids that live on the block go to the SIB school. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, okay? And I've gone downtown. Chris sat with me the last time, and, you know, the superintendent and I came to blows on this. And I said, you know, and he wants to talk about Russian nannies and all kinds of, I mean, you know, he wants to just totally obfuscate the issue. And it's frustrating, but, you know, it's just, I'm just not sure what we can do, is the bottom line. So it's very, very frustrating, you know. And then we have this issue where then DCF comes in, you know, and wants to tag us on our aftercare program and shut us down. I mean, they literally said, you're shutting down your aftercare program next week. Okay, we had to get lawyers involved and get injunction. I mean, it was a mess, you know, because, and it's really, it's not political, but it's a very strict and literal interpretation of certain rules at the state level. So then we got to get the school board involved again, because they have a carve out for this kind of stuff. And then we end up with a legal issue with the school board. But then you know,
But maybe it can be
this issue with
downsized again, because we keep
I understand,
making bigger the aftercare.
and
there is
no, I understand.
There is other
I
options
understand.
for aftercare.
I understand.
But there's no other option to go to the park. That's the only
Yeah, I
park
know.
that it can come out.
We have a cap on the aftercare. We do have a cap on the aftercare. So to be honest with you, I mean, that's the one thing we can control.
We met
You know?
with Fabiola
So,
over
you
this.
know, I know.
Susan,
You know all these issues, Fabiola, and I do appreciate you coming in, because the fact is, it's, you know, this is the one area of the city where I get so frustrated, because we have so indulged the school and the school system, and we continue to do it, and we spend hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in support, you know, and
we don't
frankly,
get anything back.
we don't get it. Well,
I
you
mean,
know,
I know,
look,
our children are super happy.
Truthfully, we have a safe
No,
environment.
no,
for,
our children are super happy. They're
yeah,
getting
so
it back.
again, I don't want to mischaracterize it.
No,
I mean,
exactly.
I'd
Me
still
neither.
spend the money. They can treat us even worse. I'd still spend the money. But my point is, we don't get a lot of respect for our issues given what we contribute, which really bothers me. We have a very unique environment here because we're on the county line. In other areas of the county, if that school is Sunset Elementary, nobody cares that there's district jumpers because they're coming from Dade County. Who cares? Because they're coming from other schools that they would go to and overcrowd those schools. So this is a very unique condition, which I have talked to them till I'm blue in the face to say, this is different because we're on the county line. And we got folks from Broward County coming in here, you know, and the majority of the district jumpers are coming from up there. We know that, you know, and it just, you know, it falls on deaf ears.
Can we at least try to continue fighting?
No, believe me, I haven't, you know.
That'd be the
Can I
first-
add
Honest to
something?
God, we appropriated the money for the verification.
I don't
Anybody in their right mind would have killed the verification program this year because it's been 2 years of just like, you know, basically swapping
Nothing.
paper. And we appropriated the money again in the budget because again,
Can I
you know, the vice mayor and, you know, and I mean, everybody's got kids in the school. Basically, everybody's got kids in the school,
Yeah,
but me now.
exactly, except you.
I mean, everybody spoke up and said, we got to keep trying, to your point. So,
So
Larissa.
I just want to add, I was at the ESAC meeting, and I think that while the district is not supportive of the address verification, having the new principal, Ms. Mesa, I see a difference because she's open to really pushing. And if we didn't have the address verification, we'd be at 2,200 right now. At least we're right now, Carla, what is it, 24? Thank you.
Now we're 2198.
Growing.
No, but you know, the point is not giving up. And keeping up the pressure, because while the district is not scared of us, they are scared of you. They're scared of the parents.
Yeah.
So when you start calling the district and complaining to them, that's the worst thing, that they
Yeah,
hate that. And so working first with the principal, I think, is the first thing, because she said she'd be open to us getting involved and calling and checking those addresses ourselves.
You know, I was frustrated. I mean, and I lobbied for Adam because, I mean, I knew Adam. I lobbied, I say lobbied, made some phone calls to get Adam. And frankly,
Disappointment.
yeah, I mean, he's a nice guy, but they
we're
didn't,
disappointed.
they used the resources that we provided for this, and they redirected them to support the school, which again, just like, it just aggravated me to no end. But then when we put pressure on them to I said, let them work out of the city. Well, we can't do that. We'll give you IT support. We can't do that. I mean, because the truth
It's
is,
a safety issue too, because
No,
we
I-
had the middle schoolers on the top
I-
and the kindergartners. God forbid, like I always say, God
I-
forbid, an emergency.
I-
We have these
I know.
almost adults coming in the
yeah,
stairs
yeah,
and the little ones
yeah,
down.
running them over. I know,
You know,
I know.
so
No,
we
I
need-
get it. I
we-
get it.
we are
I mean, yeah.
Like looking for a disaster.
Yeah,
God forbid to
yeah.
ever happen, and that's the point.
But
So
I think Larissa's, folks like you, like Carla, I mean, folks that know how to
we're
light,
gonna continue.
folks
yeah.
that know how to light people up, and given the fact that you've lit me up a few times, I understand, I think it's very important. Believe it or not, I think to Larissa's point, they'll pay more attention to you as an angry parent, because I think a lot of the reasons why they don't want to act, because they don't want to deal with angry parents. Because they know these parents are going to come down and barnstorm them, and they want to keep people happy, and so, this is your point about the 25%, when she tells you that the ones that don't respond and basically say, I don't care, they can't do anything. And unfortunately, that's the attitude. I mean, we've offered a police officer. Let's just go to Winston X100 and just sweep the building. Okay, I mean, honest to gosh, we've gone. I said X100, Alex. I didn't say your
But Mr.
building.
Mayor,
But,
just to finish my point, I'm from Venezuela. I come from Venezuela. One of the reasons I came to this country 12 years ago is because things over there, sadly, don't function.
Yeah.
So I come here with that in mind, that in America, everything is so right, so perfect. So I had the idea.
Welcome to the real world.
Yes,
Exactly. I know.
And
I
that
know.
is my point. So I'm thinking that if you have the truth and the legal system on your side, then
Yeah.
it should work. And that is
Yeah.
my point. Right now, we are accommodating and we're making everything
Yeah.
for those parents that are breaking the law. And the parents that deserve to be here because they pay the taxes, because they live here, etc.,
I know.
are the ones that are getting like everything on
It's
top of them,
unfortunately,
you know?
it's a complex problem, and it's not a problem that we have a silver bullet for.
I know.
It's unfortunate,
We
and
need-
again, but I can tell you, it's not a problem that we've given up on, and it's not a problem that we haven't fought. I mean, this is one of those ones that's been, under my skin for quite some time. I mean, we showed up with that license plate data they blew a gasket. I mean, they couldn't believe it. And but again, then they immediately started to discredit it. And I said, I'm not saying that this is actionable information, but it certainly is a very serious sign that something's wrong here, and that we have a city that's 1 square mile in landmass and 600 cars are there in the morning. What does that tell you? Most kids can walk to school.
Last week I was with the chief in the corner of 182nd and Collins, where the people do the double left.
Yeah.
And I was actually there with him. He was there, and the people was still trying to do the
doing
double
it. I know.
left. You know how disrespectful is that? And at some point, there is this lady in a big car, and she's trying to come from the CVS to do like the double left, like really fast. Then the light change, and then I'll go to her. I say like this, and she look at me like.
I know.
You know, like even this.
Unfortunately
chief
too.
of police is next to me.
Yeah.
And it's incredible. So people come here, they disrespect us, they break our rules, they break the law. Sadly, my point is that I don't want this to become Venezuela.
Yeah.
Because that's why I left.
Neither do we.
Yeah. So when I see the crookedness going and winning, basically, for me it's scary. Because I tell the stories about how things get crooked, and then there is like no
Venezuela
way back.
should be a wake-up call to the whole world. There's no question.
Well, listen, whenever
so
you
I
wanna
completely
talk
agree.
Venezuela, I
know. I can imagine.
But
the good news is, I mean, the positive side of this is we put the money back in for address verification. We're hoping with the new principal, to Larissa's point, we're going to get more cooperation, because frankly, that's all it takes. We can light that place up with address verification if they just do what they said they would do. Use the CLEAR system. Put the person on it. Let them work. I said, we'll hire 2 more people. Let's just hire them. Use the police officer to go to the building and scare the bejesus out of the folks that are lying. I mean, this is not difficult stuff. We've offered this. I offered it back when Annette was here, and she beat me up on it too, so this is just one of those ones where, our leverage was to not build the school annex. Because I told them, I can't look my taxpayers in the eye with a clear conscience and build that school annex as long as this problem's not getting addressed. I said, I can't do it. And, the superintendent says, well, I'll come down and do it. I go,
the school has such a good grades, and everything goes so good that they want to come more.
I know.
So
it's self-fulfilling. I know.
Until it's not good anymore.
I know.
The best that we are.
Yeah, the problem is it's like everything, So anyway, but that's that piece of it. I think that, you and the other mothers have a better opportunity, especially on the classroom issues, but the problem is the address verification is the root of it all. Because the overcrowding is the root of all these other issues. Even the park issue at a certain level, the overcrowding is a root of that too. I mean, we've got these issues with the state. Susan's been working them through. Again, complex issue based on laws that we don't control, but we work it. But there is a cap on the aftercare program. Make no mistake. There's a cap on it. Susan, that thing fills up by, Susan, that thing fills up like within 3 days. Yeah, before we even start, it's already full. So to your point, we don't have the aftercare program on. We don't fund an unlimited aftercare program.
And I know I met Chris, Susan, and all of them. Thank you for trying. Let's just continue trying, because honestly, again, my son is 5th grade now. He doesn't use the park as much as he used to, but I'm telling you, when I'm waiting in the line for him, I see these moms melting, looking for some shade, waiting for the older siblings. Yeah. And I'm putting myself in her shoes, because I enjoy so much sitting down in that park, talking, making friends, seeing the kids playing, that they would never have that, and it's unfair.
Susan, do we have a broader solution? I'm sorry, Fabiola. Do we? Here she comes. So Susan's the oracle on this one, so.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. After we met, so one of the suggestions that we had made when we spoke was shortening the time in which we have to close it. We made it an hour because it's very convenient and easy to advertise 2:30 to 3:30. In this particular, that wasn't acceptable. So we are trying to shorten that time period to maybe 10 minutes before, 10 minutes after, so it's a 20-minute time period. And then to take it a step further, because I understand that's still not convenient, is we're trying to find an area on 182nd Drive where we could put some benches lose some landscaping and put some benches so that when you have to leave the park for that 20 minutes, you'll have a place to sit
Right,
with
so
shade
like a
until,
holdover area, yeah.
and then you can go back in.
But we're not going to move DCF off of, we're not moving DCF
really
off of what this
can't.
issue is.
We can't, and we were really excited. We did have a spot check a couple
Yeah.
weeks ago,
Yeah.
a surprise
Yeah,
inspection,
that's
and we
what
passed.
came, and you-
So,
but they did,
Is it because the amount of kids that we have in the aftercare?
no, it's the mix of the kids. It's the mix of the kids that's the
It's
issue.
the
If-
fact that it needs to be, they have to be exclusive. That space has to be theirs for that time period. So once we get everybody in and
Yeah.
organized and accounted for, then we can open the park
If
back
we
up.
make the corridor, and nobody will be coming through the Pelican Park, like the first two doors, and we can leave the one on the open, we can do some fencing.
Yeah, Fabiola, I think it's best,
Yeah, yeah.
take it offline, I mean, because
Yeah.
they're doing this stuff in real time. And again, believe me, they understand the issue.
I know,
So, but
I
I
know.
think if you got ideas, I mean, get with Susan and the staff
And I
again.
thank you guys so much
Yeah, no,
for
thank
like,
you for,
giving us like
yeah.
the forum to talk about it.
Yeah.
And I know you guys feel our pain, and thank you, and we will continue.
And sorry I had to wait 3 hours tonight to speak,
No, don't
so I
worry,
apologize.
I enjoy it.
Yeah,
It's part of
so,
it.
I'm glad you enjoyed it, so, all right.
Motion.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn? Motion carries. Thank you, everyone. We are adjourned.